The Emperor of Work begins with Conan. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 326. The seniors must carry forward their style. Can we really take down Pisco? Rina Mizunoshi had not forgotten Toyama Tobi's plan. What they had to do now was to seize power and make Luca Weaver lose the trust of his superiors. If they really let their infiltration team take down Pisco and torture him for important information, they would not be able to achieve their original goal. What are you thinking? Do you really think your infiltration team is the Langley headquarters? Toyama Tobi sneered, with a teasing look in his eyes. Pisco has now retreated to the second line. Retreating to the second line means that he rarely participates in the organization's various actions. Over the years, Pisco and the organization have been cut off. Without me providing you with information, you would never dream of guessing who Pisco is. So, who is it? Toyama Tobi said this. Rina Mizunoshi really became curious. Toyama Tobi just smiled and didn't say anything. Rina Mizunoshi rolled her eyes and came to Toyama Tobi. Toyama Tobi gently closed his eyes. Kenzo Masayama, chairman of Bailing Motors. It's him. Mizunoshi. Rina's voice was a little vague, and she raised her head with difficulty and looked at Toyama Tobi in surprise. She suddenly understood. No wonder Toyama Tobi asked her to hand over Pisco's information to Luca Weaver. Kenzo Masayama is not an insignificant minion. He is also a giant in the automobile manufacturing industry. He is a big capitalist. Kenzo Masayama's identity cannot be said to make the CIA afraid, but for Mizunoshi Rina's infiltration team, unless there is solid evidence, they really have no way to mobilize resources to target him. If it was an ordinary person like Miyano Akimi, the infiltration team would just kidnap him. No one would continue to investigate for Miyano Akimi. But Kenzo Masayama is different, not to mention what kind of uproar it would cause after kidnapping him. Can the few people in the infiltration team really kidnap Pisco, a veteran cadre of the organization? Even if Pisco has retreated to the second line, he is still a veteran of the organization, and the defense forces around him are definitely not just for show. Even if they are defeated by the operatives of the infiltration team, it is still no problem to delay time. When the support of the organization arrives, it is possible that the whole army will be wiped out. Pisco itself is a delicious bait that puts danger in the open. This bait exudes an irresistible aroma, which makes people salivate. But all those who want to eat this bait have to face this danger in the open. This tangled choice question is just a small gift from Toyama Tobi to the Hondo infiltration team. Pisco is not easy to catch. Is it difficult to deal with it? Don't worry, there will be a great opportunity in front of them soon. After finishing the intensive training, Toyama Tobi returned to his residence. It was a wise decision for him to choose to live in Bido Town. At least when the public security in Bido Town was in chaos and there were gunfights all over the streets, Bido Town was still quieter. Of course, there were gunfights in Bido Town at that time. Now, after the organization kept a low profile for a while, the public security in Bikacho and even the whole of Tokyo has improved noticeably. Citizens who noticed that the sound of gunfire was becoming less and less frequent gradually dared to go out during the day or at night. Japanese men are generally used to calling friends to find a place to drink a few drinks after get off work and regarded as a symbol of ability. But when guns were rampant, such activities stopped for a while, and now drunks can be seen on the streets again. It seems that everyone only regards the freedom before Bikacho as labor pains. Toyama Tobi wondered if he should find a few unlucky guys to come out and be the first to come out. In the evening, after taking a bath, Toyama Tobi took a sip of vodka. The cadres in the organization are generally fond of the wine with their own code names. But this does not apply to Toyama Tobi. The EAUD vial spiritus is not suitable for blowing into the bottle. Just as Toyama Tobi was enjoying the night view and searching in his memory to find which unlucky guy was more suitable to be the first to come out, his cell phone suddenly rang. Toyama Tobi took the phone and saw that it was Kiyoshitsugu who called. Hello, what's up? Brother, the intelligence team sent a mission and hopes we can cooperate. Yoshitsugu said straight to the point. The intelligence team has a mission that requires our cooperation. Toyama Tobi was stunned when he heard this. This was something new. Although the intelligence team under Rum also had members responsible for operations, if some operations required a lot of manpower, they would need support from the operations team. Toyama Tobi was in charge of the arms team. Even if the intelligence team needed support, it shouldn't be them. Besides, what kind of support could the intelligence team ask for? Mobilize arms to launch a coup? Or simply kill Rum and take over? This kind of thing is ridiculous enough to think about. How do they want us to cooperate? It's like this, Big Brother. The intelligence team developed an external member before the organization entered its dormant period. This external member's family is wealthy, and he is the only male of that generation, so he is very favored. Then, with the help of the organization, he successfully passed his father's initial test and took over part of the family business. Well, isn't this going quite smoothly? To put it bluntly, this is still part of the intelligence team's literary way of making money. The intelligence team likes this kind of second generation ancestor who has no ability and wants to prove himself to his parents. For the intelligence team, this matter is a big gift package that fell from the sky. For this kind of target, the intelligence team provides a full set of family inheritance fools teaching. As long as the second generation ancestor shows himself, other organizations can help them get it. For example, the business thrown by the parents, the organization can find a way to make it flourish, or any other test, the organization can also find a way to do it. As for the rewards required by the organization, when the second generation ancestor inherits the family business, the key positions of those companies, groups, or businesses will gradually be replaced by the organization's staff. Even if the second generation rich later regret and no longer want to have anything to do with the organization, there is nothing they can do. From top to bottom, they are all members of the organization. What can they use to resist? For the intelligence team, this kind of task is of low difficulty and high profit, but it takes a long time. At least they have to wait until their fathers die, whether it is natural or unnatural death. The intelligence team rarely fails in this kind of task, but they failed. Makoto's voice also sounded speechless. As expected, as long as you live long enough, you can see all kinds of weird things. The member of the organization responsible for this rich second generation failed to keep an eye on him, causing this rich second generation to temporarily escape from the control of the organization and get married in a flash. It doesn't matter if he gets married, but because this rich second generation was busy getting married, he accidentally exposed the organization. Chapter 327. Second Brother Rum. Big Brother Rum. That's right, Big Brother. The rich second generation's marriage partner seems to have problems, which led the old butler of the family to check the company's accounts. The member of the intelligence team who is responsible for this rich second generation is not very clean, and he was caught in a weak spot. Now the old butler uses the company's problems as a threat to ask the rich second generation to cancel the wedding. The rich second generation asked us to help him deal with the old butler. It sounds very rich and powerful, but it's really nonsense. Let's not talk about the old butler and the rich second generation. I listened for a long time and didn't hear what my arms group has to do with it. Let me provide people and bombs to blow their whole family up to the sky. Isn't this Jin's job? Yuan Shenfei wondered why their arms group not only made money for the organization on weekdays, but also had to clean up the intelligence group at critical moments. How can this be justified? Makoto didn't understand the intelligence team's train of thought this time. I replied the same way, but the intelligence team said that the action team has been very busy recently, and the arms team just happened to have no tasks. It's not easy to sell arms openly on the black market recently. I see. It means to catch the scapegoat. Toyama Tobi understood. He realized that this task was definitely not the work of Rum. If Rum wanted him to help clean up his mess, he could have sent a task, so it was probably some members of Rum's intelligence team who acted on their own. But those members who don't even have their own code names dare to make trouble for themselves. Why? When did the wind direction of the organization change for him? Spiritus. Obviously, there are people behind them, and some of them are not ordinary people. The name Vermouth quickly appeared in Toyama Tobi's mind. Isn't this a coincidence? As a big boss on the intelligence line, he can fully influence the intelligence team, but the influence is limited to the intelligence team and can't rise to, or doesn't want to rise to Rum's level. This is probably Vermouth's second test of himself, or the second attempt, to make Conan and Xiaolan recognize their true colors. Yuan Shenfei always felt that, after returning to Japan, Vermouth was playing some childish tricks. You said you don't like me staying in the office. Why don't you just kill me? After all, you are a senior cadre who has returned from the United States. Where is your momentum? Where is your ability? Where is your professional ethics? We are in the organization and we should have the momentum of I don't like you, and I will kill you. What's the point of trying to test you like a woman? Yuan Shenfei felt that it was time to let Vermouth understand what the style of their local cadres in Bihar is like. Okay, since the intelligence team has made a request, then our arms team must help. Where is the member of the intelligence team who embezzled? He has been controlled by the intelligence team. Send someone to pick him up, and don't make him look like he committed suicide out of fear of crime. Find someone to watch the scene, and kill the detective who wants to solve the case. We must make suicide out of fear of crime an ironclad case. Yuan Shenfei said, and slapped his thigh. By the way, who is responsible for contacting you in the intelligence team? Find him and let the gunman below shoot him to death. By the way, go and investigate who in the intelligence team has been involved in this matter, and kill all those who have been involved. Don't be afraid of too many people dying. I can take care of it. In principle, the intelligence team dared to do this, and Vermouth should have given some kind of guarantee. She seemed to be a little too confident in her identity as the boss's favorite woman, so she ignored the fact that Yuan Shenfei was not mentally normal. Normal people, normal members of the organization might give Vermouth some face after receiving the task of cleaning up the ass of the intelligence team and endure the disgust and complete the task. Doing this task is different from doing Rum's task. Brother Rum gives out tasks for awards, and his main goal is to be fair to everyone. But Belmode's task is purely based on selling face, selling her own face and the boss's face. If you don't give Belmode face, you should at least give the boss some face, right? But when it comes to Yuan Shenfei, what face? Don't say that you, Vermouth, have no face in front of me. The boss didn't even fart, and your intelligence team dared to use chicken feathers as a command. You can't get used to this habit of riding on Yuan Shenfei's head first. A group of people in the intelligence team must die, no matter whether these people are innocent or not. Their death is a way for Yuan Shenfei to express his attitude. Now he has people with guns under his command, so everyone should respect him. Even if you have Belmode behind you, it won't work. Just see if Belmode can save your lives, then there is the intelligence team's ass. Yuan Shenfei will also ask people to help wipe it. Who is this ass wiped for? Is it Belmode? Of course not, because our intelligence group's direct leader is Rum. Brother Rum is a kind person. Since Yuan Shenfei became a cadre, he has given people and guns, and usually wiped his ass. Such a big brother can only be the second in command in the organization? I don't agree. It is a blessing for Rum to have Yuan Shenfei. When Rum knew nothing, Yuan Shenfei had quietly begun to help Brother Rum embark on the road of being an enemy of the whole world. Don't worry about Brother Rum, you just brave the storm in front, and we, the little fans, will definitely follow behind you and push you forward. As for the task of wiping the ass of the intelligence group, it is very simple for Yuan Shenfei. He only needs to kill the member who embezzled money and show the rich second generation the attitude of the organization. Didn't you ask us to help deal with this matter? Okay, let's just let someone commit suicide out of fear of crime, and you can put all the blame on this person. We paid a life for your matter. Is this sincerity enough? If you still can't deal with your so-called old butler, then our organization doesn't mind killing one more person. Toyama Tobi is not good at business at all, but he is really professional in killing people. Toyama Tobi arranged everything, and Tokyo finally calmed down not long ago, but the organization began to make a fuss. Just when the people in the arms group were busy looking for some people in the intelligence group to kill, the action group was busy doing tasks, and some people in the intelligence group who wanted to get promoted were frantically acting as traitors. Mizuno Rina also took the opportunity to come to the safe house of the infiltration team. What do you think, Rina? Is Spiritus willing to sell us the information about Vermouth? Luca Weaver asked Mizunoshi Rina, as soon as he sat down without a chance to greet. The main hall infiltration team is now in a critical period. The donations they handed in have begun to play a role. They only need a reasonable contribution. Apart from anything else, Luca Weaver, as the leader of the infiltration team, will definitely be promoted. Luca Weaver may not be promoted to the office after being promoted, but once he is promoted, the resources of the entire infiltration team will undoubtedly be further improved. This is a virtuous cycle for the entire infiltration team. Unfortunately, in Mizunoshi Rina's opinion, Luca Weaver is already impatient to sell himself. I forgot to post this after writing it. I will go to Phoenix Mountain to climb the day after tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, so there will only be 2 chapters a day in the next few days. I hope I can climb up. I always feel that I can't bear the energy for 4 hours. Chapter 328. People have to rely on themselves. Spiritus does have information about Vermouth, but he is not willing to trade with us. Mizunoshi Rina shook her head regretfully and then said, but he revealed that he has information about the organization's elder Pisco, and he is also willing to trade with us. But the premise of the transaction is that he needs us to get those 5 identities ready first. This damn greedy organization hyena. Luca Weaver gritted his teeth and said hatefully. Luca Weaver didn't want to get something for free from Toyama Tobi. After all, everyone will have to cooperate in the future. It would be a bit too ugly to get something for free right away. According to Langler's tradition, even if it is free, they have to wait until they have squeezed the value of Toyama Tobi dry before kicking it away. Before the value of Toyama Tobi is exhausted, everyone is still a good partner. As for letting Mizunoshi Rina go to find out the information about Vermouth, it is because Luca Weaver wants to circulate the resources in his hands. The resources Luca Weaver got from political donations were his capital, and he needed to use these capital to get some visible profits. But for Luca Weaver, an old man who was used to being poor, he was really reluctant to use most of the resources to customize the identity for Yuan Shenfei. There was no way he could be afraid of being poor. Even if he had extra money, he didn't dare to spend it freely. It can only be said that the 4 years of low-key endowment life did change Luca Weaver a lot. He wanted to use part of the resources to make a part of the identity for Yuan Shenfei first, and then get some new information from Yuan Shenfei, and use the remaining resources to fight for a great credit or a few reasonable achievements, so that he could continue to improve the status of the infiltration team and obtain more resources. It can also put the entire infiltration team on a virtuous circle faster. It is worth mentioning that before the infiltration team gets on the right track, the infiltration team and Luca Weaver's boss will not lose anything. Yuan Shenfei will not lose anything either, but he will get what he should have gotten a little later. And as the Hondo infiltration group becomes more and more important in the CIA Japan system and occupies more and more resources, the debtor will become the boss. In order to successfully obtain the identity he should have, Toyama Tobi has to look at Luca Weaver's face. From Toyama Tobi's perspective, Luca Weaver is indeed very unkind. But from the perspective of the Hondo infiltration group, Luca Weaver's behavior can be regarded as a good housekeeper. It should be said that Luca Weaver's abacus beads are about to fall on Toyama Tobi's face, and he will definitely not give Luca Weaver the opportunity to take advantage of him. For Toyama Tobi, if he doesn't pick up things when he goes out, he will lose them, not to mention letting others take advantage of him. More importantly, what right do you, Luca Weaver, have? Faced with Luca Weaver's move to take advantage of him, Toyama Tobi did not take any special countermeasures. Not only did he rely on their own intelligence to persuade Mizunoshi Rina to defect, but he also had a few hearty friendly matches. How to say it, anyway, although the two people who are talking can't be said to have ulterior motives, Mizuno Rina definitely has his own thoughts. Do we still want the information about Pisco? Mizuno Rina also looked aggrieved, and she wanted to persuade Luca Weaver to refuse the deal on the spot. Luca Weaver immediately felt that Mizuno Rina was a bit extreme. Everyone was righteous, even if the deal was not successful. They asked for a high price and then paid it back. The 5 identities should have been given by them first. If they offended you unshamefully because of this, it would be more than they gained. Wouldn't it be a loss? He hurriedly persuaded Mizuno Rina kindly, roughly meaning that, although Spiritus was not a human, we were civilized and free, and we couldn't be on the same level with such a barbarian. Now they still have a place to use Spiritus, and it won't be too late to retaliate after he is completely useless. These words were said openly and righteously. Luca Weaver was indeed speaking from the perspective of the infiltration team, and even Mizuno Rina. But these words entered the ears of Mizuno Rina, and became another meaning. After Toyama Tobi is no longer useful, he will be kicked away by Luca Weaver. What about her? In the United States, those who work in intelligence least trust the feelings between people. Only naked interests can make people trust. Mizuno Rina was persuaded by Luca Weaver, seemingly reluctantly, and then asked, "Do you really want to give him all the 5 identities?" Luca Weaver nodded. "Yes, give them all to him. Anyway, this is also part of the deal. After giving these 5 identities to him, you can ask Pisco what the price is for the information." "Okay, I know." Mizuno Rina didn't stay in the safe house for long. After getting the 5 identities of Toyama Tobi, she left in a hurry. Luca Weaver was still negligent. He had been telling Mizuno Rina that Toyama Tobi's identity was not completed, but he was actually lying to her. Luca Weaver realized that as a spy, Mizuno Rina was not experienced enough, and was too easy to be led by her opponents. So he kept the fact that the identity was made secret. But today, Rina Mizunoshi's performance impressed Luca Weaver. Today, Rina Mizunoshi undoubtedly possessed the most important quality of a spy: suspicion. Suspicion of all suspicious things, suspicion of his partners, disbelief in the so-called cooperation, and only want to bite as much of his own profit as possible under limited conditions. This also made Luca Weaver trust Rina Mizunoshi more, and gave her all the identities required by Toyama Tobi. He thought Rina Mizunoshi would have that kind of unspoken tacit understanding with him, but Rina Mizunoshi, whose seeds of doubt had already taken root in her heart, immediately knew that Luca Weaver had lied to him at the time, after seeing these 5 identities. Whether it was a white lie or a malicious concealment. For Rina Mizunoshi, an undercover lurking in the organization, the opacity of internal information is the most fatal factor. What if Toyama Tobi killed himself because of Luca Weaver's concealment? What if Toyama Tobi revealed that he was an undercover because of Luca Weaver's concealment? Luca Weaver's behavior of putting himself in danger made Mizuno Rina feel that she needed to take the initiative in the infiltration team. During the friendly match with Toyama Tobi, he said something that Mizuno Rina remembered vividly. Destiny must always be in your own hands. In their situation, no one can be trusted. Chapter 329. Do you have to choose an auspicious day to silence someone? Rina Mizunoshi has always felt that Toyama Tobi is not only good at work, but also good at reasoning. So what is Toyama Tobi, who is very good at reasoning, doing now? He is now attending a CADA meeting of the temporary group of the organization in Rum's base. What is the situation of Shigehiko Tsugachi? Does the agency that launched the investigation against him have clear evidence of his bribery? The temporary meeting was held in the form of a video conference. Rum's image did not appear in the video. Rum in the video was just a shadow. As for the participants, there is Toyama Tobi, a newly promoted cadre. There is Vermouth, the boss's favorite woman. There is Jin, a model worker of the organization. And there is Pisco, the veteran of the organization. After Pisco gradually retreated to the second line and mainly focused on running bailing motors, he rarely appeared in such mission forwarding meetings. Even knowing that the more he died, the faster he died, Pisco was still prepared to work steadily in the organization until he died, rather than suddenly dying. For Pisco, such a discerning veteran, both Rum and Jin gave unanimous praise. Usually, he was happy to give Pisco a little face as a veteran. The reason why Pisco appeared in the meeting this time was because he was responsible for bribing the congressman Shigehiko Tsugachi. Hearing Rum's question, Pisco immediately answered, "According to the intelligence I have inquired, the prosecutors have obtained certain evidence of Shigehiko Tsugachi's bribery, but it has nothing to do with us. But I think the prosecutors probably realized that we are in the dark, so they want to continue to dig deeper. Shigehiko Tsugachi is a person with average psychological quality. I'm afraid that if the prosecutors continue to investigate in depth, they will find flaws in him. Pisco spoke truthfully. If the organization wanted to infiltrate the Japanese political arena, then the first person they could contact was Shigehiko Toguchi, who had average ability and not much better psychological quality. There was no way that the congressman with a strong will and strong hands was not a target that the organization could easily corrupt. To corrupt a political task of that degree, at least a very suitable opportunity was required, either starting with the family or starting with their descendants. But Shigehiko Toguchi was a person who was easier to corrupt and easier to control. They are all counselors. For the organization, people like Shigehiko Toguchi are easier to deal with. At most, the organization can pay some price to help him get promoted when needed. Political investment is the easiest business to get back and the most profitable. Expanding the influence of the organization in the political world has always been the focus of Rum's work. But people like Shigehiko Toguchi also have their own fatal flaws. Once they are corrupted by the organization, they will degenerate at an astonishing speed. Once they degenerate, their greed will increase uncontrollably. The benefits delivered to them by the organization alone cannot fully satisfy them, or in other words, such people cannot be satisfied, no matter how much. If they cannot be satisfied here in the organization, they will reach out to other places. And when other people deliver benefits to people like Shigehiko Toguchi, they will not do it as properly as the organization. So for people like Shigehiko Toguchi, this is a huge flaw. Shigehiko Toguchi is like this. The prosecutors cannot find the benefits delivered to him by the organization in a short time, but the clues of bribery by others are firmly grasped by the prosecutors. The reason why he was not arrested is because the prosecutors want to catch the big boss of the organization. This is why Rum organized this meeting today. Bailing Motors is one of the organization's largest legal operating income sources. If it is implicated because of a small congressman, it will undoubtedly be more trouble than gain. I understand a little bit. Yuan Shenfei began to speak. Like Rum, his image on the screen was dark, and it was obvious who he was guarding against. But Pisco didn't know. He just thought that Yuan Shenfei and Rum were used to keeping a hand. It seems that everything started from this man named Tunkao Shigehiko, and the breakthrough of the prosecution is also on him. Even if there is a bad thing, it is him who is bad, so why not just kill him? The purpose of our meeting is not to discuss whether to kill this congressman named Tunkao Shigehiko. Yuan Shenfei's speaking style is outstanding. I don't want to hear about whether to kill him. I just want to know the result of killing someone at what time and place. Even Pisco was lamenting that the young people in the organization had become more and more irritable recently, but he can understand it. Because he also came from this period, not to mention that killing Tunkao Shigehiko itself is his demand. When people from organizations encounter problems, they never think about solving them, but directly killing the people who create problems. If the people who create problems are gone, then all problems are no longer problems. Otherwise, after solving one problem, another problem will follow, and problems will lead to problems. These problems are really endless. Toyama Tobi's speech was also agreed by Jin. For people in his action team, anything that can be solved with a gun is not a problem. Pisco kindly explained to Toyama Tobi the difficult problem they needed to face at the moment. We must kill Shigehiko Toguchi, but the question is how to do it? At present, Shigehiko Toguchi has entered the field of vision of the prosecutors, and he and his family have been controlled. Although he is not restricted from traveling, there are always people from the prosecutors around him in the dark every time he travels. It is very difficult to kill him without alerting the prosecutors. Well, why should we care about the prosecutors? Toyama Tobi's voice was full of confusion. Since we want to kill Shigehiko Toguchi, why not kill the people around him together? If one RPG can't completely kill them, use 2, 3, or 4 shots. They will be completely wiped out. As long as Shigehiko Toguchi dies, neither the prosecutors nor the police can find us. Toyama Tobi's speech was full of Toyama Tobi's personal style as always, and the main point was that the more lively the better. Such a plan immediately attracted Jin's approval. Big Brother is a man who can shoot and drive an armed helicopter to shoot at the East Capitol Tower. Can you say that he doesn't like excitement and is a cold person? Ask those enthusiastic shells if they agree. Ahem, Spiritus, your plan is good, but don't plan it again next time. Rum hurried out to interrupt Yuan Shenfei. He had to stand up. Spiritus and Jin, both of them are lawless. The most terrible thing is that one of them has munitions and the other has professionally trained talents. When the two are combined, they can do it by themselves. Recently, the limelight in Tokyo has finally subsided. Rum doesn't want Tokyo to become the panic-stricken Tokyo after this. It's not a good thing for this organization to stay dormant. We can't let them mess around. Chapter 330, The Honest Man in the Organization, turns out to be Jin. Two crazy guys and two useless old men were not to be relied on, and in the end, it was Vermouth who came up with a more reliable idea. The memorial service for the famous director Sakamaki Akira will be held soon, and the venue of the memorial service can just become the hunting ground of the organization. Vermouth, who has a certain understanding of Toyama Tobi's action style, didn't want to trouble Toyama Tobi this time. It's okay to take time out to mess with Toyama Tobi when she's free, but she really doesn't want Toyama Tobi to get involved in the task she's responsible for. She now understands that Toyama Tobi is a time bomb in the task, and she might make some weird things happen at any time. Vermouth, who is essentially a person who makes fun of the organization, doesn't want to be the fun of the organization at all. But Rum's purpose of pulling Toyama Tobi into the temporary meeting is to let Toyama Tobi participate. In desperation, Vermouth can only arrange the same job for Toyama Tobi as Jin, to pick up and provide insurance. If their tasks are not carried out smoothly, Toyama Tobi and Jin will serve as insurance for this mission to ensure that Council at Tsukaushijihiko will be killed. But if their mission goes smoothly enough, Toyama Tobi and Jin will be responsible for the support and cleanup. Okay, Vermouth, you'd better make sure your mission goes smoothly. Otherwise, I may not be able to take care of you when I start. Toyama Tobi has no good intentions towards Vermouth. Vermouth has repeatedly targeted him in the organization, so Toyama Tobi will naturally fight back. And fighting back, while carrying out the mission is undoubtedly very much in the style of the organization. In this case, killing one's enemy and doing the organization's mission at the same time is the style of the Kadas. The mission of killing Shigehiko Tsugachi finally returned to the established track in the original work. At least that was the case before Toyama Tobi got involved. After the plan was finalized, everyone withdrew from the video conference, and soon there were only Toyama Tobi and Rum in the office. Rum called Toyama Tobi to attend this temporary meeting on the one hand, and on the other hand, the intelligence team could not stand the repeated retaliation of the arms team recently, and they finally asked for help from their immediate boss Rum. As the second in command of the organization, Rum naturally knew the movements of Toyama Tobi and his arms team. But this old guy pretended not to know about it, in order to use Yuan Shenfei to clean up those wavering members of the intelligence team. Now the people of the arms team are killing the members of the intelligence team. Even the senior members of the intelligence team were killed by Yuan Shenfei. Rum, who felt that the time was almost right, was ready to stop Yuan Shenfei's actions. It was definitely unrealistic to ask Yuan Shenfei to stop the revenge without any words. Yuan Shenfei is now a big boss of the organization. Even if he was promoted by Rum himself, he would definitely not be as easy to use as Kuroso and Binga. When the status of the organization Kadas and the organization reaches a certain level, the relationship between Gin and Vodka, Rum and Kuroso, and Binga is not normal. If the Kadas of the organization are so obedient, wouldn't it be more stable for them to find a class outside and be a cow and horse than the organization? Why do they have to live in fear every day in the organization or intrigue with others? Rum naturally has corresponding communication skills to deal with Yuan Shenfei, who is gradually becoming a member of his own team. The authority of Toyama Tobi in the intelligence database was raised again, from C-level authority to B-level authority. As the boss of the entire organization, his intelligence authority is the highest S, followed by the second in command Rum, whose intelligence authority as a Rum is the only one with A-level authority, and it is also a manifestation of his authority as the second in command of the organization. Of course, in terms of the content of intelligence, the difference between A-level authority and B-level authority is not much. The difference between the two is that B-level authority cannot view the organization's research and development of drug A. There are very few cadres in the organization who currently have B-level authority. Gin is 1, Vermouth is 1, and Toyama Tobi, a total of 3. But Toyama Tobi and Vermouth know the whole story of drug A's development for their own reasons. So although the two are nominally B-level, they are actually not much different from A-level. Only Gin is the most honest one among the cadres with B-level authority. He even really thought that the development of drug A was for the kind of poison that kills without leaving any trace. How to say it, if they really fight, Gin is definitely not Rum's opponent, but Gin doesn't seem to care about it. What's the use of drugs? As long as it can be used to kill people, it's fun. After getting benefits from Rum, Toyama Tobi naturally has to do something. The assassinations, open killings, and various attacks by the arms group against the intelligence group have come to an end. The surviving senior executives of the intelligence group are also in fear. At first they really just thought that Spiritus would only kill a few middle-level people as a warning. Unexpectedly, this Lord Spiritus is crazy. Even Lord Rum can only appease him with benefits, and can't use authority to force him. For a while, the codename Spiritus became popular in the organization again, although it didn't have a good reputation at all. Just when Toyama Tobi was preparing to set a trap for the CIA Hondo infiltration team with the Bedo City Hotel, he suddenly received an email from Habera AI. In the email, Habera AI said that she had made some new inventions recently, and maybe he would be interested in learning about it. Toyama Tobi readily agreed to AI Habera's invitation to meet him. Since he came to the Conan world, he has never underestimated the ability of a genius scientist like Dr. Agasa. But Dr. Agasa is ultimately a prop dealer of the lawful camp, and Toyama Tobi can only get some gadgets from Dr. Agasa. But AI Habera is different. AI Habera in this world is no longer affected by Conan's protagonist Halo. She, who was born in an organization responsible for the development of drug A, can never be considered a pure lawful camp. Perhaps the neutral camp is more in line with AI Habera's position. On the premise that Toyama Tobi has information about Akimi Miyano, it is not impossible to shift from the neutral camp to the chaotic camp. The time AI Habera chose to meet was very subtle, just when Dr. Agasa was out visiting a friend. When Toyama Tobi came to Agasa's house, AI Habera received him alone. It seems that you have adapted well. At least you didn't start trembling when you saw me. By the way, do you still feel it when I come to Agasa's house? Toyama Tobi was a little curious about AI Habera's radar. Originally, Habera AI didn't want to have anything to do with the organization anymore, so it was understandable that her radar was so sensitive. But now Habera AI is mixed with him, and Toyama Tobi doesn't think that the aura of the organization on him is weaker than that of Gin. So is Habera AI's radar of the organization still reliable? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 331. How can scientific research be said to be a fraud in funding? Yes, but I won't be scared enough to run away anymore. Hurray, I said firmly. I felt the trembling of the organization when you first arrived at the doctor's door. I'm just not afraid now. Hurray, I didn't say why she wasn't afraid, because this is what she was doing. She wanted to reach a cooperative relationship with Toyama Tobi, and she could provide Toyama Tobi with the inventions he needed as a logistics staff. Once a cooperative relationship is reached, she will naturally be a useful person. People who are useful in the organization never need to worry about being abandoned. Such thinking may be somewhat unaccustomed to the outside world, because not all useful people in society will not be abandoned. But for Hurray and Toyama Tobi, cadres of the organization, this is just right, and this is the value they both recognize. Toyama Tobi has a high credit score with Hurray. For her sister and herself, Hurray is willing to take a gamble. Okay, let me see your invention. Toyama Tobi also understood Hurray's idea and said straight to the point. Hurray brought Toyama Tobi to her laboratory, which was cleaned and prepared by Dr. Agasa for her after she moved in. Speaking of which, Haber AI really lives up to the name of a genius girl. In the original book, she completed the reaction research on drug A in the laboratory of the doctor's home and successfully developed a temporary antidote. And the duration of the temporary antidote is longer and longer. Maybe she can really develop the antidote for drug A in this simple laboratory. Yuan Shenfei followed Haber AI's footsteps and walked into the laboratory that Dr. Agasa helped her to buy. He was surprised to find that this laboratory was not as simple as he imagined. Did the doctor buy this laboratory for you? It looks very decent. I'm afraid the doctor has spent a lot of money on this wave. Although the doctor is like a blasting genius who makes explosions whenever he has nothing to do. As a socialite in the scientific research circle and an inventive genius, the doctor has authorized many patents. The patent fees generated by these patents can fully support the doctor to come up with some wonderful ideas that make people black out in physics. It is not impossible to help Haber AI buy a laboratory. After entering the laboratory, Haber AI seemed to have become a different person. Shirley, who used to be in the organization, came back online. While operating the complicated looking equipment in her hand, she said to Toyama Tobi, "The doctor did want to help me set up a laboratory, but I refused. All these equipment you saw were sponsored by someone. Who? It can't be that kid Conan, right? How can that high school detective decide on such an amount of expenditure? These equipment were sponsored by his parents. When they learned that I was in charge of drug research and development in the organization, they enthusiastically sponsored me a laboratory, including all the equipment and consumables in it. Their only requirement is that when my reverse research on drug A produces results, I can share it with them in time." Toyama Tobi did not agree with Haber AI's words. Who said that Conan couldn't handle large sums of money from the Kudo family? As long as he chose the right recipient, Conan could spend any amount of money after all. Nightclubs can recharge stored value cards, right? So now the Kudo couple also know your identity? Toyama Tobi raised his eyebrows. As for the protagonists in the original work, their personalities have been determined. It is really not easy to change them. Maori Kagoro still loves to smoke, drink and look at beautiful women. Xiaolan is still so kind. Conan still has his moments of being intoxicated, and there are still many of them. The suicide of the young suicide group is the same as always. Only Haber AI, who wished that no one knew her identity in the original work, actually took advantage of the identity of Shirley in this world. She even took the initiative to expose her identity to Kudo Shinichi's parents, and even got an angel investment with this identity. To be honest, this operation almost made Toyama Tobi slip his waist. There is nothing wrong with what Haber did. For her, the Kudo couple is really the most suitable and easiest investor for her now. Kudo Shinichi has changed from big to small. Even if the Kudo couple does not say it, they will definitely find a way to solve the hidden dangers in Conan. Now it seems that he has only changed from a high school student to an elementary school student, and Conan is even very energetic. But that drug A was developed as a poison, and who knows if this drug has any delayed side effects. After all, rejuvenation has appeared. Isn't it reasonable that there are some minor problems that cannot be detected by modern medical equipment? At this time, Haber AI, as a drug developer, said that she could help reverse engineer the antidote for drug A. In addition, Haber AI was also deeply harmed by drug A at this time. How could the Kudo couple refuse such an investment application? But what they didn't know was that after Shirley took over the laboratory, the first product she developed was for Toyama Tobi. The laboratory is Haber AI's home ground. In this laboratory, she really seems to have some kind of metaphysical bonus. Just like now, she has been operating the machine and has not looked back, but she has almost guessed Toyama Tobi's thoughts. Although the first product of the laboratory is not for the high school detective, it does not mean that I took the investment and did not work. These days I have been sorting out and summarizing the research and development content of drug A that I can still remember. Even if I want to develop an antidote, at least there must be a direction. And because there is no physical drug A for research, I can only start with theory. Strictly speaking, the laboratory is necessary, but it is only used at this stage. Yuan Shenfei nodded. How can it be called cheating to do scientific research and defraud funds? It should be said that it eliminates some rugged paths on the road of human progress. Okay, let's take a look at this. Huion AI adjusted the machine and called Yuan Shenfei over. When Yuan Shenfei approached, the first thing that caught his eye was a transparent container with several white mice running around happily in the container. As Huion AI started the instrument, a light white smoke entered the container, and the white mice in the transparent container fell down one after another. It didn't even take more than 5 seconds. Well, this thing seems to have the same effect as the anesthetic needle and the hypnotic bullet used by Kato Kid. Toyama Tobi didn't dare to say it too bluntly, but as a common method used by Conan and Kato Kid, this thing is really not practical for Toyama Tobi. If you just need to make someone sleep, even without anesthetic needles, hypnotic bullets and this kind of gas, Toyama Tobi can do it with a knife. Habara AI's expression is still calm. Yes, this gas is indeed transformed by me through the research results of Dr. Agasa. But there are some differences between my invention and the doctor's. Chapter 332 You lack the eyes to spot the white mouse. What do you mean? The anesthetic invented by the doctor does not require too strict control of the dosage. Once a person ingests it, he will fall into a coma. When the user is awakened by external forces, the person can easily wake up. But the one I made can't wake up. Can't wake up means that, unless there is an antidote, it can't be woken up. Yuan Shenfei always felt that the direction of Huion AI's research and development seemed to have a little deviation. Yuan Shenfei is a serious person. Even if he does something, he needs to cooperate. If the other party does not cooperate and just collapses and becomes a corpse, he will definitely not be interested. Yuan Shenfei felt that Huion AI must have some misunderstandings about him. Well, Huion AI paused for a moment and then said lightly, in fact, there is no antidote for this anesthetic for the time being. Yuan Shenfei looked at Huion AI in a daze. He seemed to understand a little bit of Huion AI's scientific research talent. It seems that the main style of Huion's pharmaceutical style is to kill without burying. There is no antidote for drug A after it is developed. Now this mist anesthetic is the same. If this anesthetic is inhaled by someone, and there is no antidote, will the person just fall asleep and die? What kind of rice flour euthanasia is this? Just when Toyama Tobi was surprised at how fast Huion AI turned evil, Huion AI made some detailed additions to her invention. This anesthetic, which has not yet been named, was originally colorless and odorless. The reason why it is reflected in the instrument as a mist is mainly to facilitate your observation. Huion AI's thoughtfulness at this moment made Toyama Tobi feel a different kind of education discrimination. In the laboratory, Huion AI can really discriminate against Toyama Tobi infinitely. Then I really thank you for your thoughtfulness. Toyama Tobi rolled his eyes. You're welcome. In addition, the effect of this anesthetic is not as good as you think. Huion AI explained very seriously. If Toyama Tobi adopts her invention, then these inventions will be used in Toyama Tobi's mission in the organization. So Huion AI needs to explain the characteristics of this anesthetic clearly, otherwise if there is a problem when using it, it will be fatal. Since Toyama Tobi is now concerned with clues about her sister, Huion AI naturally dare not be careless. Because this anesthetic is improved and enhanced based on the anesthetic made by the doctor. Although this anesthetic is effective, it is not lethal. Although there is no antidote for the anesthetic, it will be metabolized by the human body. The specific time varies from person to person, but it can basically guarantee an anesthetic time of 8 to 12 hours. There is another point to note. After animal experiments, I found that the drug resistance of this anesthetic grows very fast. This means that, after using the anesthetic on the same target, the effect of the anesthetic will be greatly weakened in this person. Until the end, it is almost the same as the doctor's anesthetic, and the drug resistance of this anesthetic is growing comprehensively. This means that people who have been used with this anesthetic many times will have a strong resistance to the hospital's anesthesia when they go to the hospital in the future. Huion AI said very carefully, and Toyama Tobi listened very carefully. But when Huion AI talked about drug resistance, Toyama Tobi inevitably thought of Maurika Goro. Habara AI's anesthetic was derived from Dr. Agasa's invention, and Dr. Agasa's anesthetic is being used frequently by Conan on Maurika Goro. In the original movie, Maori Kagoro did show resistance to anesthetics in the hospital, so here comes the question. Was Maori Kagoro really anesthetized by the anesthetic in the later period, or was he just playing dumb to amuse Conan? After Habra AI introduced all the parameters of the anesthetic, she looked at Toyama Tobi. How about it? Will this be useful to you? Very useful. In fact, I think I will use it soon. Toyama Tobi nodded sincerely. This is how Habra AI should be used correctly. It is a waste of resources to use a humanoid search engine that has become a tool for developing antidotes or searching for information in the original work. By the way, I heard you just say that you did animal experiments. Hasn't this anesthetic been tested on humans yet? Of course not. Huan AI rolled her eyes. As a matter of course. Even if I want to do human experiments, where will the experimental samples come from? I can't let the old man, the doctor, who is not in good health, be my laboratory guinea pig. TSK. In fact, there is no shortage of guinea pigs in life, but you lack a pair of eyes to discover guinea pigs. Don't you think Conan is a good guinea pig? Huh. You don't even need to go to great lengths to persuade him to join the experiment. You just need to tell him that this is a necessary step in making the antidote for drug A. I believe he will be very proactive in becoming your experimental sample. He will even be angry if you refuse. At this moment, Huan AI looked at Toyama Tobi with a subtle and weird look. She finally understood why she was so miserable in the organization, while Toyama Tobi, who joined later, was doing so well. This is really a piece of shit. Not only did his parents provide the startup funds for the laboratory, but they also tricked his son into the laboratory as a guinea pig. The most important thing is that the experiment is an anesthetic that has nothing to do with the reverse engineering of drug A. At this moment, Huan AI deeply realized that the organization is really not a place that a simple white flower like her can get through. Okay, just kidding. Toyama Tobi laughed and diverted this tempting proposal. By the way, help me make as many of these things as you can within a week. I will use them immediately. And Toyama Tobi said to Huan AI's expectant eyes, I do know the whereabouts of your sister Miyano Akimi. After the successful bank robbery, she was captured by the CIA infiltration team and is now under protective surveillance. Why did the CIA capture my sister? Huan AI even guessed whether Toyama Tobi hit her sister, but when Toyama Tobi revealed the answer, she almost couldn't hold it. Why is there a CIA thing here? Exclamation mark. Your good brother-in-law Akeshuchi should be blamed. Toyama Tobi unceremoniously threw the pot to Akeshuchi. In fact, the reason why the CIA acted so decisively was that the FBI also played a big role. Although they now know that Miyano Akima's actions have nothing to do with the FBI. This tooth that was knocked out can only be swallowed with tears. Haha. FBI Akeshuchi. Uhura AI gritted her teeth. She didn't like the little white face who was eating her sister's soft rice. After this guy's identity was exposed, and he fled Japan in a hurry, making the situation worse for the sisters. Her disgust for Akeshuchi was growing day by day. Now the sister has put herself in a more dangerous situation because of the FBI behind this bastard. Uhura AI is now gritting her teeth, and she only wants to fuck Akeshuchi hard. Fuck Akeshuchi. Fuck FBI. I was fooled. I know that Phoenix Mountain is difficult to climb, but no one told me that I have to climb up with rolling and crawling. Really climbing a mountain. Chapter 333. I have a plan. Conan instructions. Listen, now is not the time to gnash your teeth. I have a plan now. Toyama Tobi can now fully feel the resentment of Uhura AI towards the FBI. In her opinion, Akeshuchi is not a good thing, and the FBI is even less so. Of course, from the perspective of the Miyano sisters, her opinion is not wrong. I have reached a cooperation agreement with one of the members of the CIA infiltration team. For the time being, we can be regarded as an unbreakable alliance. At the same time, your sister happens to be in this infiltration team. If our plan is achieved, the entire infiltration team will be replaced. At that time, whether your sister wants to leave the infiltration team and regain her freedom, or change her identity to become a member of the Langley system, it will be easy. Only the right to choose is the real freedom, isn't it? The conditions given by Toyama Tobi are quite tempting. at least in Uhura AI's opinion, whether it is regaining freedom or entering the Langley system, especially the latter. Murder and arson are recruited. In ancient times, a small fry like Miyano Akemi would not be qualified to accept the recruitment. In the water margin, if you don't fight off the government's encirclement and suppression several times, and make the government lose face several times, how can they know that you are not easy to deal with? There is no doubt that Toyama Tobi meets the standards and requirements of the object of amnesty, but Miyano Akemi is the kind of petty thief that the government can easily send troops to eliminate. There is no value in amnesty at all. Now that Toyama Tobi has given this possibility, based on Uhura AI's understanding of Toyama Tobi, he is not the kind of person who can only paint big cakes for others. Painting big cakes will never make people dislike it, but people who only paint big cakes and never let people get a little bit of oil will make people hate it from the bottom of their hearts. Since Toyama Tobi said that he could let his sister join Langley, Uhura AI believed that he could do it. Even if she couldn't join Langley, wouldn't she be able to get rid of the control of the infiltration team and regain her freedom from the light? The situation of the two sisters is so miserable, it is time to rebound. If it really doesn't work out, her sister can go to the United States to join that ungrateful and heartless scum, Akeshuchi. As an ace agent of the FBI, it is not too much to mobilize the network to ask for a witness protection plan. Miyano Akemi's parents were once the main R&D force of the organization's scientific research department, and her sister is a cadre in the organization responsible for drug research and development. It can be said that Miyano Akemi fully meets the implementation standards of the FBI Witness Protection Program. For Uhura AI, this is a business that will not lose money and may even make a lot of money. It is profitable, no matter how you look at it. The only problem is that she needs to take some risks, but for ordinary people, how can doing business not involve risks? Uhura AI made up her mind at the moment. What do you need me to do? Yuan Shinfei likes Uhura AI's sobriety. Uhura AI, who came from an organization, knows very well that there is nothing in this world that can be obtained for free. If you want to get something, you have to pay for it. This is a way for the organization to survive. The target of the first phase of this plan is the CIA's infiltration team. You are not required to participate in the first phase. Pisco will be the bait responsible for attracting the attention of the infiltration team. If the operation goes smoothly, the first phase will wipe out the active forces of the infiltration team. I need you to appear at the target location in the second phase. Pisco has his own mission at the target location. What you need to do is to let him find you before he performs the mission. Pisco has seen your appearance as a child, so he will be very surprised when you appear. But because the mission is about to be carried out, he has to complete the organization's mission first, and will catch you after the mission is completed. What you need to do is not to concentrate on Pisco's mission. What you need to do is not complicated, but it should be noted that our action against Pisco needs time to ferment. So between the time Pisco completes his mission and the time the action against him ferments, he will have enough time to find you at the target location, capture you, and even briefly torture you. This period of time will not be too long, but it will not be too short. If you are caught by Pisco, you can only rely on yourself to survive. Toyama Tobi didn't say what would happen if Uhura AI couldn't make it, but Uhura AI knew it. She had to make it. If she couldn't make it, not only would she return to that dark organization, but her sister would also be in danger again. I understand. Uhura AI nodded and showed an expression of fearlessness. Toyama Tobi suddenly laughed when he saw the expression of fearlessness on Uhura AI's face, which looked like a primary school student. He had seen such expressions on many primary school students in his previous life. That was the end of the vacation. One night did not create miracles. On the morning of the school day, the primary school students seemed to understand the true meaning of fearlessness. There's no need to be so exaggerated. I'm not the kind of bastard who makes others work for me just by talking. In fact, if you want to avoid being caught by Pisco, there are ways. Toyama Tobi showed a malicious smile. This malice was not directed at Uhura AI, but at Vermouth, who made frequent small moves. In the early stage of the original work, Vermouth's attitude towards Conan and Uhura AI was really different. It was really that, if you love them, you want them to live, and if you hate them, you want them to die. If Vermouth was given a chance, she would probably really kill Haber AI on the spot without hesitation. So what if Haber AI and Conan were tied together from the beginning? If one has a problem, it means that both have problems. If one is exposed, the other will also be exposed. If so, will Vermouth still target Haber AI so unscrupulously? Vermouth disgusted Toyama Tobi once with a little trick, so Toyama Tobi also prepared a surprise gift package for Vermouth. Don't worry about whether it's a surprise or not, just see if you, Vermouth, are disgusted when Conan and Shirley are mixed together. Remember, Shirley, when you take action that day, remember to bring Conan with you. After you arrive at the scene, do not separate from Conan under any circumstances. You must let everyone know that you are here together and show a close relationship. Facing Haber AI's questioning expression, Toyama Tobi explained, this kind of intimacy is not the intimacy between men and women, but the kind of intimacy where everyone is the same and is on the same boat. Let everyone see that you are different from ordinary children. When the time comes, someone will naturally block all the troubles you encounter at the scene for you. The only thing you need to pay attention to is that if you tell Conan that there are organized killers at the scene, or if a murder occurs suddenly, Conan will run around like an uncontrollable wild donkey. At this time, you must follow him, otherwise once you are alone, you will definitely fall into Pisco's hands. Chapter 334, Plan in Progress Weaver, 8-1, the advantage is on my side. Good opportunity, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Luca Weaver said excitedly to Mizuno Rina in the safe house of the infiltration team. Ever since Luca Weaver heard from Mizuno Rina that Toyama Tobi knew the information about Pisco, the elder of the organization, he has been completely concerned. But Toyama Tobi has not relented. Even if it is an intelligence transaction, you have to make an offer, right? Otherwise, how would he know what price to offer to Spiritus? In the end, it was Mizuno Rina who was decisive. The daughter of the old boss who she had watched grow up paid a considerable price to get Pisco's information from Toyama Tobi. As a female spy, Mizuno Rina's sharpest weapon is also the biggest price. It goes without saying that Luca Weaver's emotions are very complicated, but the beautiful fantasy of getting a promotion and a raise to the peak of his life eventually overwhelmed all negative emotions. In order not to disappoint Mizuno Rina's efforts, he put all his energy into the plan to capture Pisco. Just as Toyama Tobi and Mizuno Rina guessed on the bed, although Pisco is a retired veteran of the organization. But Pisco, who once worked in the organization's action group, will not relax his protection of his own safety even in semi-retirement. Not to mention the bodyguards he hired on weekdays, Pisco is the one who pays the most attention to his own safety among the chairmen of the same level. The second is the staff around Pisco, from his secretary to work and life assistants, to drivers. They are all formal members of the organization who have received rigorous training. These formal members are all sparing no effort to protect Pisco. As a veteran of the organization, Pisco naturally has some privileges. For example, Ireland, a cadre of the organization's overseas branch, was once Pisco's secretary and was recommended to the organization by him. His promotion speed is not ordinary. Therefore, Pisco, a semi-retired old man, is also a smooth step for some formal members who are determined to climb up in the organization. In the follow-up investigation for nearly a week, Luca Weaver did not find a good opportunity to arrest Pisco at all. It is not impossible to arrest Pisco by force, but the final credit will probably be shared by others. By then, the infiltration team that could have gnawed bones will probably only be able to have a mouthful of soup in the end, which is unacceptable to Luca Weaver. His team members have paid so much, but in the end they can only have a mouthful of soup! Exclamation mark. When will Luca Weaver be able to get a promotion and a raise, and move to management and sit in an office? The spies lurking in the criminal organization are eating a bowl of youth rice, and Luca Weaver knows very well that he will not be able to eat this bowl of rice for long. If he cannot transform in time, he will probably have to consider where to do part-time work to supplement his family income after retirement. Just when Luca Weaver was struggling with whether to fight hard with his men, Mizuno Rina brought him good news again. Pisco has confirmed that he will attend the memorial service for Director Sakamoki. I have seen his name on the TV station's guest list. By then, the defense force around him will be reduced to the extreme in a short period of time. It's a pity that I was not assigned an interview mission, otherwise it would be more convenient for everyone to act. Mizuna Shirina said regretfully, and it was impossible to tell that she actually refused this interview mission. EK, you have done well enough, just leave the rest to us. Although Luca Weaver was a little eager for quick success, he still understood their basic base. It would be best if Mizuna Shirina could not participate in this action that was obviously aimed at the top of the organization. Otherwise, if Mizuna Shirina was involved in their actions, it would be harmful to Mizuna Shirina's future lurking. After receiving the latest information from Mizuna Shirina, Luca Weaver immediately calculated the manpower he could use. Although he could not ask his boss for help directly, he had not worked in vain for so many years. Insufficient manpower for action is a thorny problem that every infiltration team needs to face. Drinking soldiers' blood is not only in the upper echelons of Langley. These middle and lower level managers are the ones who are most likely to take advantage of their soldiers. They cannot be the team leaders of the middle and lower levels, and their means of making money are limited. In addition to doing some work on reimbursement, they can also falsely report the number of people in the action team. In order to deal with the embarrassment of insufficient manpower during the operation, these middle and lower level managers also have sufficient coping strategies. Since everyone is short of manpower, it is also a kind of mutual help to gather manpower during the operation. According to Luca Weaver's estimate, he has 3 action team members, plus 2 civilian personnel who have received certain training. As long as he borrows 3 more action team members, he can almost complete this arrest mission. When Pisco attended the memorial service, he was not protected by any bodyguards. Even if there were members of the organization, there would not be more than one. In that kind of occasion, no one brought subordinates with him. If Pisco was the only one who acted alone with a large group of people, he would soon be excluded by everyone. You are so scared. Are you afraid that we will kill you? Or what are you afraid of? If you are so scared, why don't you play together? If you don't even have this courage in Beaker Town, how can you cooperate with others in the future? In Japan, those who don't fit in will always be excluded. So, 8-1, the advantage is mine. Luca Weaver, who made a plan, immediately contacted colleagues with whom he had a good relationship and successfully borrowed 3 action team members from them. At the same time, Rina Mizunashi, who left the safe house, was not idle either. She successfully contacted her father's former boss, Ian Robert, who has now become an agent supervisor and is expected to be promoted to assistant agent supervisor. The promotion system of CIA spies is roughly trainee agent agent senior agent, which is the basic configuration of the frontline action team. Each agent who has completed training is initially registered as a trainee agent and will be directly transferred to an agent after a period of internship. And senior agent is Luca Weaver's current level, which can lead an infiltration team or an action team, but he has to participate in various operations on the front line. Above the senior agent is the agent supervisor, which is also the watershed between the frontline action team and the management. After becoming a special agent supervisor, you don't need to participate in the field missions of the frontline action team all the time, but you need to be on the front line to command major tasks. This is a position that combines action and management, and it is also the upper limit of the position that most agents with no background can reach. Whether it is the assistant agent director, deputy chief of staff or chief of staff, they are all managers who are actually sitting in the office and responsible for regional intelligence and operations. As a former infiltration team leader, Ethan Hondao has not been able to contact such a big shot. So Ian Robert is the upper limit of the network that Ethan Hondao left for Rina Mizunashi. Rina Mizunashi cherishes this network very much. In the 4 years she has been sitting in the organization, she has not used this network even once. And now is the best time for her to take over this incense from her father. Chapter 335. Business is business when planning is in progress. Hondao? Hondao me? Ian Robert asked tentatively after the call was connected. To be honest, this number has been saved in his mobile phone for many years. He thought it would ring 4 years ago, but he didn't expect it to ring until now. This is a call that is 4 years late. Ethan Hondao is Ian Roberts' old subordinate. As a spy, Ethan Honda is excellent. In many past intelligence missions, Ethan Honda has been able to perfectly achieve their established goals. It can be said that Ethan Honda has made great efforts in the promotion from senior agent to agent inspector. It's a pity that such a spy talent died in a mission to undercover a criminal group. Ian Robert really regretted it for a long time. Honda Emi, as Ethan Honda's daughter, is also a CIA spy. Passed the agent assessment to become an agent. After Ethan Honda's death, Ian Robert had already made plans for Honda Emi to transfer from field work to internal work. In fact, transferring a field agent to the office is indeed within his authority. It was a simple task, not worth mentioning. He did not expect that Ethan Honda's daughter would take over her father's mission and continue to lurk in this criminal organization. She stayed there for 4 years. Recently, Ian Robert received a report from Honda's infiltration team, which claimed that the criminal group they were undercover in was developing illegal drugs for assassination. The target of the drug would die in great pain, and the autopsy would result in a normal death. To be honest, this level of intelligence was not enough to attract Ian Robert's attention. It was just a drug used for assassination. This thing was not so important to intelligence agencies like the CIA. It just made the target die naturally. Even if they did not use this drug, they could use other methods to achieve the same goal. The surprise brought by this drug to Ian Robert was not even as big as the political donations they made later. After all, this money was the good stuff that could be put into their pockets. Ian Robert thought that with the stubbornness shown by Honda EK in the past 4 years, this number would never call his mobile phone in his lifetime. But he did not expect that he miscalculated again. Rina Mizuno called Ian Robert at this time, which made him feel entangled. 4 years ago, he was looking forward to Rina Mizuno calling him, because at that time, no matter what request Honda EK made, he could easily do it. But 4 years later, who knows what kind of help the immature little girl would ask him to provide. Friendship is friendship, and business is business. For people like Ian Robert, his work is nothing more than a transaction. Uncle Robert, it's me. I have an emergency and want to report to you now. Rina Mizuno got straight to the point. After using the uncle to talk about the friendship between the two parties, Rina Mizuno proposed that the two parties could meet. Rina Mizuno has a good sense of proportion. She also knows that her father's legacy can only allow her to meet her father's former boss. If she wants to complete her next plan, she can only use benefits to persuade Ian Robert. At 2:30 in the afternoon, I will send you the address by email. Ian Robert likes Rina Mizuno's attitude. This business as usual attitude proves that Rina Mizuno has enough sense of propriety. Ian Robert doesn't have to worry about Rina Mizuno making any embarrassing requests. In fact, he is really beginning to be curious about Rina Mizuno's purpose in coming to him. He still doesn't change his original intention. If Rina Mizuno wants to switch from field work to internal work, he can still help. But if Rina Mizuno wants more, it depends on whether the face value of the cards provided by Rina Mizuno is worth his bet. 2:30, Ian Robert's safe house. Both parties are on time, and no one is late. Rina Mizuno didn't waste time on useless friendships. She said to Ian Robert bluntly, Uncle Robert, Luca Weaver has gone crazy. He is going to launch an attack that is completely impossible to succeed, and he is going to drag the entire main hall infiltration team to his death. You want me to help you persuade Weaver to terminate the operation? Ian Robert asked calmly. No, no one can stop Luca Weaver now. Even if the operation is stopped, he will act in his own way. But the Honda Group is my father's hard work, and Luca Weaver cannot drag it down with him. Rina Mizuno decisively rejected Robert's temptation, and then put forward her own conditions. EK, I have read Weaver's action plan. Both my experience and the analysis of experts believe that his action has a high success rate. And once Weaver succeeds, it will indeed advance the progress of your group's mission. Ian Robert tactfully told Rina Mizuno that he already knew her conditions, and now Rina Mizuno could set her own price. If Luca Weaver can successfully arrest Pisco, it will indeed be a remarkable achievement. But the question is, can he really arrest Pisco successfully? Rina Mizuno is very clear about the morals of these superiors. As the chairman of an automobile company, Pisco naturally holds quite lucrative interests. If he falls into the hands of the CIA, intelligence and other things are not important, but all the interests in his hands must be spit out. In order to obtain these benefits, the CIA and Pisco may even make some deals. After all, even the judiciary can be used for transactions, not to mention the real money. If Pisco really falls into the hands of these people, then Mizunoshi Rina will have no hope of revenge. So Mizunoshi Rina wants to pour cold water on the good news brought by Luca Weaver. As far as I know, Pisco didn't go to the Bihu City Hotel simply to attend the memorial service for director Sakamoki. He had a mission to perform, and the organization will have at least 2 cadres acting together to perform the mission. Even if the mission is important, there will be other cadres responsible for responding and handling emergencies. Will it be easy for Pisco, a veteran of the organization who has retired to the second line, to perform the mission personally? This means that there are probably more than 2, or even 3 or 4 organizational cadres on the scene. Luca Weaver has only 8 people, including 2 clerks who have only received simple agent training, and have been out of contact for many years. Can these 8 people really successfully arrest Pisco in the hands of at least 4 organizational cadres? After pouring cold water on Luca Weaver's action plan, Mizunoshi Rina changed the subject and began to talk about the benefits she could give. Of course, Luca Weaver's action plan is not completely without benefits. If his actions attract enough attention from the organization, then maybe we will have some unexpected surprises. Chapter 336. Adults want both. What is a surprise? The surprises that the members of the organization present that day were not only Pisco, but also Vermouth. Compared to Pisco, I think Uncle Robert, you will be more interested in Vermouth's identity. Oh. Chris Wynyard is the identity Vermouth uses in the United States. Chris Wynyard? Ian Robert asked immediately after hearing the name. Is it the Chris Wynyard I know? Yes, it's Chris Wynyard in Hollywood, the daughter of the famous movie star Sharon. The emergence of information about Vermouth gave Ian Robert another possibility. If the action plan designed by Luca Weaver can bring Ian Robert financial benefits, then the plan brought by Mizunoshi Rina can bring him political benefits. Pisco is just the chairman of a car company in Japan, and his other identity is just a veteran cadre of a criminal group. The credit for arresting someone like Pisco is not enough for Robert to be promoted. He is CIA, not FBI. Moreover, to put it bluntly, this kind of thing is that the CIA is helping Japan to catch thieves in their territory. This kind of action that cannot bring benefits to the homeland or Langley headquarters is basically not much credit. It is not even as great as Robert's contribution to the rebellion of an important figure in Japanese politics. But Rina Mizunoshi's goal is different. If Rina Mizunoshi's intelligence is true, and Vermouth is really the Hollywood star Chris Wynyard, once it can be successfully captured, or simply confirming the authenticity of this intelligence, it will be a boost for Robert on the road to promotion. Unlike Pisco, Chris Wynyard is a real first-line movie star active in Hollywood. In other words, Vermouth is a criminal active in their homeland. If Chris Wynyard is Vermouth in this organization, then what about her mother Sharon? Will it also be related to the organization where Rina Mizunoshi is undercover? Now it is known that this organization has infiltrated the American entertainment industry, so it is not impossible to use the entertainment industry as a springboard to infiltrate the political arena. Isn't this definitely a threat to the country? Ian Robert is a man who is very good at making cakes. Only by making the cake bigger and bigger can he get the most delicious piece. Robert doesn't care whether he can eat the biggest part of the cake. He just needs to make sure that after the cake is made, he cuts out a piece that can make him full. As for the rest of the cake, as long as he can eat his fill, anyone can eat the rest of the cake. Robert has never been a short-sighted person. Between an extra income and his own future, he will certainly choose his own future. As long as you climb high enough, will you be afraid of not having an endless supply of extra income in the future? Only the poor people at the grassroots level will drink the blood of the soldiers by any means. Of course, this is only when you have to choose one of the two. In fact, when adults make choices, they always want both. I want them all. Although according to Rina Mizunoshi, the success rate of Luca Weaver's action is really slim, it doesn't hurt to try it. What if there is a miracle? Luca Weaver will naturally be responsible for the failure of the action. For Robert, this is a sure win business. Even if Luca Weave managed to complete the mission by chance and successfully captured Pisco, he could have done something to get Luca Weaver back to his home country, to work in the office. He certainly couldn't get promoted. At most, he could give some of the profits he got from Pisco to Luca Weaver, so that he could have a better life in the second half of his life. He also had an explanation for Rina Mizunashi. What Rina Mizunashi wanted was the Hondo infiltration team, right? Then give it to her. No matter what, Rina Mizunashi could get what she wanted, so this deal was fair and satisfactory. After some deliberate consideration, Robert said on the spot that Rina Mizunashi's reminder was very timely. If Luca Weaver's operation really failed, he, as a superior, would definitely not hold her accountable. And although Rina Mizunashi had only been in the industry for a few years, this mature and steady style was exactly what they needed for intelligence work. After a while, the branch office will definitely consider adding some burdens to Rina Mizuno, which can be regarded as letting Rina Mizuno inherit her father's will and make new contributions to the branch office. For a while, Rina Mizuno and Robert were both happy guests and hosts, and both sides got what they wanted. The information about Vermouth was revealed to Rina Mizuno by Toyama Tobi, and it was also the trump card that Toyama Tobi prepared for Rina Mizuno. This information is actually not very important. The FBI has known about this information for a long time, and has even been following Vermouth's ass. In addition, as Vermouth's activities in Japan get longer, sooner or later someone in the organization will come into contact with Vermouth's true face. When that time comes, I'm afraid Vermouth's identity will not be so valuable. Take advantage of the fact that Vermouth's American identity has not depreciated yet and quickly sell it at a good price. This can also be regarded as Toyama Tobi's alternative timely stop loss. Just as all parties were making intensive preparations before the memorial service, time had quietly passed. Before she knew it, the day of the memorial service had just arrived. In the original work, Huion had a nightmare on this day. In the nightmare, she dreamed of gin, vodka, despair, and death. But in this world, Huion had a good dream all night. She did not dream of gin again, but only dreamed of Conan, who was played badly by Toyama Tobi. How could playing badly with Conan not be a good dream? According to what Toyama Tobi revealed to herself, she did not need to deliberately lure Conan to the Heido City Hotel, which would be too deliberate. Conan was not a fool, he could still see some clues. She only needed to go to school and go home step by step, and she would naturally encounter that kind of opportunity. Toyama Tobi did not tell her what the specific opportunity was, only saying that she would know it when the time came. Sure enough, she really knew the opportunity mentioned by Toyama Tobi. Porsche 356A, the license plate number Shinjuku 5443268 is exactly the same as Jin's. In other words, this car is Jin's favorite car. Seeing this car, Haber AI was inevitably stunned, and it was this natural daze that made Conan notice this Porsche classic car. What's wrong? Are you interested in cars? It seems so. Among the people I know, it seems that few people, except Yuanshan, drive this kind of classic car on a daily basis. Well, Porsche 356A, it's really a classic model. Chapter 337. The yellow-haired girl is Shirley. That's Jin's car. Haber AI said very calmly. She is really calm now. There is no way. She meets Toyama Tobi every now and then. Every time they meet, the smell of tissue on Toyama Tobi's body is stronger. Besides, although Jin is her shadow, if you really want to be serious, Jin is nothing more than a cold-blooded perverted killer. In the end, a cold-blooded perverted killer is more frightening, or a killer with erratic thinking and unstable mental state is more frightening. That's a matter of personal opinion. Anyway, for Haber AI, after spending a long time with Toyama Tobi, she found that Jin is just that. He didn't appear in front of her, so what is there for her to be afraid of? If Haber AI was not weak now, she would even want to secretly remove the wheels of Jin's beloved car and sell them for money. To be honest, the wheels of these 4 classic cars should be able to exchange for a bag of Fusa, right? Haber AI is calm, but Conan can't be calm at this moment. This is Jin's car. This car means that this time Conan is closest to the members of the organization. As long as he can't do anything. At this moment, Conan suddenly dreamed back to the warehouse of Nobushi Middle School. He had reported to the police that Toyama Tobi was a member of the criminal organization, but it was useless. After an investigation, Toyama Tobi walked out of the gate of the Metropolitan Police Department in a dignified manner, and even now he is like a fish in water in the Metropolitan Police Department, just like returning home. But Conan was still unwilling to give up this car. The lockpicking skills learned from a YE vocational and technical college were automatically upgraded, and Conan opened Jin's car door with only a piece of wire. Then he put the eavesdropping device in the car with chewing gum, and began to summon the universal toolman Dr. Agasa, who in an AI said nothing, and didn't need to do anything. After Dr. Agasa arrived, Conan began to eavesdrop on the conversation between Jin and Vodka. To be honest, Jin's habit of always liking to chat with people while driving should really be changed. Without any surprise, Conan learned about the organization's actions today. Pisco, Vermouth, Spiritus, plus Gin and Vodka. This is clearly a big operation that has gathered 5 cadres of the organization at one time. At this moment, Conan's restless heart became agitated again. It is conceivable that the organization has sent so many cadres to attach great importance to this operation. He, Conan, must go to help out. Just as Conan was about to continue, he was rejected by Jin. The noise in the phone made Jin realize that he was probably being eavesdropped on. After parking the car on the side of the road and searching for a while, he found the eavesdropping device wrapped in chewing gum on the back of the brake pedal. However, Jin, who did not find the eavesdropping device in the car, did not put the source of the eavesdropping device on Shirley's head. Brother, who did this? Vodka usually uses a startled performance to highlight Jin's calmness. This time is no exception. HMPH, maybe it's a souvenir left by some lucky little mouse from the FBI. Call Spiritus and inform him about it, and let him prepare. Whether Pisco's operation goes smoothly or not, we have to work. Jin was still so decisive. It was just an assassination of a congressman. In Jin's opinion, using their 5 cadres was like using a cannon to kill a mosquito. If Pisco and Vermouth couldn't even handle such a thing, then they would have no value in the organization. Especially Pisco, who was so old and useless. Now that he has found the traces of the FBI, he naturally has to focus on the clues of the FBI. Putting himself in other people's shoes, he thought that Toyama Tobi must think the same way. Toyama Tobi was a little surprised to receive Vodka's call. He didn't expect that brother Jin was such a kind person. He could think of himself when there was such a good thing. I think the honeymoon period of the arms group and the action group will continue to extend. It will take some time for Gin and Vodka to arrive at the Bihu City Hotel. Toyama Tobi immediately took the responsibility and said that he would make some preparations at the Bihu City Hotel. The custody makes it impossible for the FBI's little mice to leave. Jin has always been very confident in Toyama Tobi's actions, and both of them have tacitly not informed Pisco and Vermouth that a third party has intervened in this matter. Of course, even if Toyama Tobi notified Vermouth, the thousand-faced witch of the organization might not care. Because for Vermouth, there is a more difficult situation in front of her. Like Jin, Vermouth has never taken the assassination of the senator seriously. After all, it is not the first time that their organization has killed a senator, and there is nothing to be nervous about. But when Vermouth saw Conan, who hurried to the banquet hall of the Heido City Hotel, she suddenly realized that Conan was likely to come for the organization's actions. Vermouth was no longer in the mood to consider how the organization's action plan was leaked, because the little girl next to Conan made her eyes twitch fiercely. Surely Miya no Shaho. Vermouth is also an old member of the organization, and she has naturally seen what Shirley looked like when she was a child. The little girl next to Conan looks exactly like Shirley when she was a child. They are simply the same person. The most important thing is that this little girl really didn't disguise herself at all. Vermouth believed that her own son would not bring an unrelated little girl here for no reason. Looking at their behavior, when they talked and chatted without any childishness, Vermouth could not tell the identity of the little girl. It turned out to be Shirley. Why is it Shirley? At this moment, Vermouth suddenly had a very subtle sense of deja vu. The juicy little cabbage raised by her family brought a yellow-haired person to the door today. This yellow-haired person is the type that she, as an old father, hates the most. Although the yellow-haired person didn't speak, his eyes and behavior revealed all. Leodeng, is it safe for my will-o'-the-wisp to park downstairs of your house? Leodeng, park my will-o'-the-wisp for me, or I'll break your legs. Leodeng, there's nothing to say on our first meeting. Just give me a bottle. Dad, you don't know him at all. Small dramas were performed in Vermouth's mind one after another. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. The angrier she became, the more she couldn't stop performing small dramas. Just when Vermouth couldn't bear it any longer and was ready to find an opportunity to secretly kill the lonely Shirley, she sadly discovered that the two little devils in the venue were like conjoined twins. It was really that wherever Conan went, Shirley followed, never giving her a chance to attack. Just when Vermouth was ready to turn away, Pisco came to her side under the opportunity of toasting and socializing. Vermouth, I have an amazing discovery. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 338, Die, Die, Die. Let Pisco die quickly. Vermouth was upset because her cabbage was entangled by the yellow-haired man, so how could she care about the great discovery that Pisco, the old man, said? But everyone came out to perform the mission together, and no matter how impatient they were, they had to listen to what Pisco had found. Vermouth asked coldly, what did you find? Pisco didn't mind Vermouth's coldness, because this Hollywood star had such a personality at the moment. Pisco picked up the wine glass to cover up his lip shape and quickly said to Vermouth, I think I saw Shirley at the scene just now. Shirley? Are you sure? Where is she? You can't say. Pisco made Vermouth perk up as soon as he opened his mouth. Vermouth looked around while talking, and from this action, you can see that she is not of us in Hollywood. Pisco knew that Vermouth took the Shirley he was talking about as the normal Shirley, so he coughed twice. Ahem, not over there, on the other side. The little girl among the two children. Vermouth's eyes suddenly became strange when he looked at Pisco. Pisco, are you serious? To be honest, Pisco was not so sure about his own judgment. Although he had seen Shirley when she was a child, Shirley's disappearance was obviously a recent event. How could such a big Shirley become the little girl she is now? It was precisely because of his uncertainty that Pisco found Vermouth to discuss it with her. But some things are like this. It may be okay to think about it in your heart, but once you say it out loud, you will feel an inexplicable stupidity. In order to save his image and at least make himself look less stupid, Pisco said with a stiff face, I have seen Shirley when she was a child, and she looks exactly like that little girl. Not only in appearance, but also in demeanor and temperament. There may be people who look very similar in this world, but how can they have the same temperament? What's more, look at those two children. They don't look like children at all. Pisco became more and more certain as he spoke, and in the end he even convinced himself. No matter what, he was sure that the little girl was Shirley. As for the kid next to him who was so close to Shirley, there must be something wrong. Trouble. The situation that Vermouth feared the most still happened. She was never worried about whether Shirley would be discovered without disguise. To put it bluntly, what did Shirley's life or death have to do with her? The person she really cared about was Conan, and Pisco's suspicion of Shirley obviously brought Conan a little. Sure enough, Shirley was a troublemaker. Although Vermouth was extremely reluctant, she had to find a way to stop Pisco's curiosity for the safety of her own son. Okay Pisco, no matter whether the little girl is Shirley or not, everything must be prioritized to stop the mission. You can do whatever you want to complete the mission successfully, but don't do anything extra before the mission is completed. I don't want to accept the help of that bastard Spiritus at all. Vermouth's words were beyond Pisco's expectations, but they didn't surprise Pisco too much. From the temporary meeting organized before, Pisco could see that the relationship between the newly promoted Carter Spiritus and Vermouth seemed to be not harmonious. Pisco was not surprised at all. This was just a means of checks and balances by Rum. As a veteran of the organization, what scenes has Pisco not seen? It's just some small means of checks and balances, and he has long been accustomed to it. but Vermouth can completely ignore Shirley because of her disgust for Spiritus, which really surprised Pisco. Vermouth has an undisguised hostility towards the Mianas in the organization, and this is something that any senior organization card knows. Vermouth's words fully reflect that she is more afraid of Spiritus than she is disgusted with Shihomi Ayano. Unexpected is unexpected, and not surprising is not surprising. Facing Vermouth's attitude, Pisco felt that he still had to be tougher. It is true that you, Vermouth, are the boss's favorite woman, but I, Pisco, am also a veteran of the organization. Even if you planned this operation, I, Pisco, will not be ordered around by you. Humph. I will complete the mission. When Shirley's identity is verified, don't blame me for not reminding you. Rejuvenation. If Shirley returns to the organization, you can't do anything to her at that time. Hehe. Pisco left with a laugh like an elder of the Soul Hall, shaking his wine glass, as if the two of them had just had a really pleasant chat. Looking at Pisco's back, Vermouth's eyes did not change at all, but she had already started to kill him. Damn you, old man. Pisco, who had been away from the front line for a long time, probably ignored the increasingly severe situation of infighting within the organization, and did not consider the consequences of offending the leader and planner of the action during the mission. Vermouth did not say much, holding a glass of wine, and walked to the group of reporters at the banquet. As reporters rushed to interview, Vermouth inadvertently revealed that she was a fan of director Sakamoki and expressed her great anticipation for the unreleased set records of director Sakamoki that would be released at the memorial service tonight. Just a casual remark left some clues in the minds of the reporters present. As a rare Hollywood actor at the memorial service, many reporters at the scene were interested in Vermouth's exclusive interview. The old hands in the industry have already considered how to get those photos from the organizers after the memorial service, and some newcomers who have just entered the industry are secretly considering whether to wait and take a few photos of the slides. Vermouth turned away, hiding her achievements and fame. After all, she was the boss's favorite woman, and her grasp of the boss's character was just right. An old veteran who couldn't even complete the mission was worthless to the organization. At the same time, Luca Weaver's people also came to the Bihu City Hotel one after another under arrangement. They did not enter the venue, where there were many people and too many people with status. It would be difficult to evacuate once they started. They put the action in the hotel's locker room. With just one accident, they could make Pisco disappear from the Bihu City Hotel without anyone noticing. Unlike Vermouth, they didn't want a dead Pisco, but a living one who could speak. At the scene, an AI, who was trying to endure the crazy ringing of the organization's radar in her heart, still followed Conan to run around the venue, trying to find the Pisco engine's mouth in the crowd. Finally, the host of the memorial service came on stage and announced the official start of this memorial service. Chapter 339. Weaver is a decent man. The memorial service was about to begin, which also meant that the actions of the infiltration team of the church would also be carried out simultaneously. A clerk in the infiltration team of the church dressed up as a guest and walked towards Pisco with a glass of wine, spilling wine on the target and then quietly replacing the target or simply kidnapping the person. These are all the specialties of the agents. At this point in time, if Pisco didn't want to be considered dead after the memorial service, he would have to hurry up and change his dirty clothes. It's a very simple task, isn't it? The clerk, who was disguised as a guest of the memorial service, smiled in her heart. Although she was an office worker of the infiltration team, she had also received agent training. It was just spilling a glass of wine, and she didn't think this task would be difficult. Of course, it was precisely because it was simple that Luca Weaver was relieved to hand over this critical step to a clerk to execute. The clerk and Pisco passed each other, and suddenly her feet were inexplicably tripped. All the champagne in the glass was spilled on Pisco's pants, and then the clerk began to apologize. Before the action, Pisco was suddenly splashed with wine on his pants, which made him even more unhappy. But in order to maintain his image as a loyal elder, Pisco could not swear at the damn woman in front of him. He could only take out his handkerchief and quickly wipe the champagne on his pants. Mr. Masayama, red bean pastes me Marcel. I will ask the hotel staff to prepare a clean pair of pants for you, the clerk said, and took Pisco's handkerchief. to help wipe Pisco's pants. The men standing around Pisco smiled knowingly. Although this situation is not common, it does not mean that it does not exist. There are always some people who are willing to take risks and find a way to move up in such occasions, or hold a solid thigh. As the chairman of the automobile company, Pisco's thighs are also very thick in Tokyo. Now it depends on whether Pisco is willing to accept the kindness of this lady. It's really enviable that such an old man would have a girl sticking to him. But it's also true that it's because Pisco is an old man and he doesn't have a partner. That's why people keep rushing to try to get a huge fortune. After all, there is no shortage of people who live for themselves and are always full of mysterious self-confidence in this world. To be honest, what kind of scenes has Pisco not seen in all these years? He has sent away countless people with excessive self-confidence like the one in front of him. Not to mention that there are still tasks waiting for Pisco. At that moment, Pisco declined the woman's invitation and turned around to continue watching the host chattering on the stage. The rejected clerk was quite embarrassed. She never expected that the task that should have been in her hands was not completed. But Pisco has made his attitude very clear, and the clerk also understands that continuing to pester at this time will only make Pisco alert. At that moment, she apologized to Pisco again and walked out of the venue pretending to leave in embarrassment. She urgently needs Luca Weaver to give her some tactical guidance. Pisco doesn't fall for the honey trap, so why not try men? Coming from the free America, the clerk who has always been knowledgeable does not think this is her problem. Just as she walked out of the venue and was about to go to the locker room to find Luca Weaver, she suddenly felt an itch on her neck, and then she fell straight forward. Yuan Shenfei caught the woman one step ahead, pretending to be concerned, using her body to block the possible gazes, and then quietly left with the woman. Jin, Pisco is being targeted. I caught her tongue. Do you want it? Yuan Shenfei contacted Jin as soon as possible. Although he knew Luca Weaver's action plan, Luca Weaver was the only one who knew the content of the plan. This man really practiced his agent's principle of doubting everything. Perhaps it was not that he did not trust Mizuno Rina, but because of the habit he had developed over the years, so he did not inform Mizuno Rina, who was not on the mission. Send the person to the wine cellar, vodka, and I will wait for you in the wine cellar. I'll be there soon. Speaking of it, the wine cellar is really a good place. Whether it is Pisco or Jin, it is the first choice when they are ready to do something shameful. Yuan Shenfei quickly brought the person to the wine cellar, and Jin didn't say anything nonsense and directly let vodka take over. The visitor smoked less than 2 cigarettes at the door of the wine cellar. Vodka opened the door of the wine cellar while wiping his hands. Brother, Spiritus has been interrogated. This woman is from the CIA. Part of Vermouth's plan has been leaked. They are going to arrest Pisco here. CIA. Jin took a deep breath, but his frown did not relax. He originally thought that the people who came to his door should be from the FBI, but now he found out that it was the CIA. There is a CIA undercover in the organization. Yuan Shenfei said what Jin wanted to say. Jin nodded silently. He thought so too. Did you find out where his colleagues are? Yuan Shenfei suddenly asked Vodka. Vodka nodded subconsciously, and then Toyama Tobi looked at Jin. Then I'll leave this to you. This woman doesn't seem to be very tight-lipped. Maybe we can get the identity of the undercover from her. I'm going to deal with the remaining rats now. Time is tight, and I'm afraid that, if it's too late, the other side will be alert. Toyama Tobi said this to avoid suspicion, and secondly, to find an opportunity to inform Mizuno Rina that the time they needed had arrived unexpectedly. After getting Jin's approval, Toyama Tobi learned from Vodka that the woman's teammates were in the locker room prepared for the guests at the memorial service. Toyama Tobi rushed to the locker room as soon as possible and then took out a mobile phone bought on the black market and sent an email to Mizuno Rina. After receiving the email, Mizuno Rina took a deep breath and called Luca Weaver as soon as possible. Emergency intelligence from Spiritus. Louise failed and now she has fallen into Jin's hands. Jin and Vodka will be in charge of interrogating Louise. They have already noticed that we have an undercover agent in the organization. The sudden bad news shocked Luca Weaver. As soon as he ended the communication with Rina Mizuno, he began to contact other members of the action team. In the locker room, Toyama Tobi piled several CIA agents who had fallen asleep together, ignored the flashing screens of their phones in their pockets, and sent a text message to Jin. "I've got it. Spiritus, there are 7 people in total, 1 is a keepers, and the remaining 6 are responsible for the action. It's consistent with the intelligence. Spiritus, I see. I will hurry up to interrogate the undercover agent to find out his identity." Jin. Chapter 340, helping Master Weaver to be respectable. Oops, things are getting serious. Luca Weaver's hair stood on end when he found that he couldn't contact his men. He didn't choose to continue to contact them in vain, but rushed to Bihu City Hotel with his pistol. He was not far from the hotel, and it could even be said that he was only 1 street away. He was now racing against time. Luca Weaver knew very well what the quality of his clerks was. Perhaps clerks who had received special agent training could still handle ordinary situations. But facing brutal gangsters like gin and vodka, the clerks would not be able to hold on at all. He now needed to rush to Bihu City Hotel as quickly as possible. It was definitely impossible to save people. Luca Weaver knew his own abilities very well. All members of the action team were wiped out, and he could only choose to go alone to silence them. Yes, silence them. On the way, Luca Weaver called Rina Mizunoshi. "Hey, go contact Spiritus and ask him about the current situation of our people. If possible, ask him to help rescue our people." "It's useless, Uncle Weaver. I just contacted Spiritus. He said it's impossible." The action team was wiped out, but currently the only person the organization can interrogate is Louise, and the others are temporarily unable to speak due to some special reasons. But this is the limit of what Spiritus can do. If he does more, he will be exposed. Luca Weaver's breathing became heavier, and after a moment's silence, he gritted his teeth and said, "Then let him help clean up those who can speak." "Uncle Weaver. Hey, everything is for the mission. I'm the leader of the infiltration team of the hall." "I know, Uncle Weaver." After a brief silence, Rina Mizunoshi agreed. "Also ask him where Louise is, and agree to it at any price." Luca Weaver heard the hurried typing sound from Mizunoshi Rina after he finished speaking. It was obvious that Mizunoshi Rina was operating onto lines with Toyama Tobi. He wants $1 million. He will send the information as soon as he gets the money. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Luca Weaver immediately said a 24-digit password and then hurriedly said, "Let Spiritus, that bastard, go to Bihu City Bank and tell the account manager this password. They will take him to get what he wants." Okay, Louise is in the wine cellar of Bihu City Hotel, and gin and vodka are also there. After being hit hard by Toyama Tobi, Luca Weaver had no time to feel regretful. He just wanted to rush to the wine cellar of Bihu City Bank as soon as possible and kill Louise. It was impossible to snatch people from gin and vodka, not to mention that he was old and weak now, and it was a training. Even when he was young, he couldn't do it. Every profession has its own expertise. Luca Weaver was not the person in charge of the operation at the beginning. At this moment, Rina Mizunoshi, who should have been operating two lines frantically in the safe house, has appeared at the headquarters of Bihu City Bank. She brought a black suitcase with her, just to take away Luca Weaver's money. In the end, it was Rina Mizunoshi's idea to defraud Luca Weaver. She knew Luca Weaver's character very well. It was a basic operation of the CIA to embezzle money. Rina Mizunoshi was taken to the storage area by the manager of Bihu City Bank. After helping to open the storage box, the manager left tactfully and helped Rina Mizunoshi close the curtain. Rina Mizunoshi took a quick look and found that the safe contained a lot of US dollars, euros, pounds, and gold. They were probably all the family assets that Luca Weaver had accumulated over the years. Of course, Luca Weaver, who was cunning and had 3 boroughs, must have more than one such family assets. Rina Mizunoshi was not greedy. The amount of $1 million was just at the bottom line of Luca Weaver. If he was asked for more and wake him up, he would probably not agree, even if he asked Rina Mizunoshi to give up hiding and leave Japan immediately. Rina Mizunoshi knew very well that, as long as she was still in the organization and not exposed for one day, Luca Weaver could get one day's benefit through her. $100 seemed a lot, but it would be made up over time. Maybe there would be more. Rina Mizunoshi did not count them carefully. After packing all the things, she hurriedly left the Beaker City Bank. At the Bedo City Hotel, Luca Weaver hurriedly took a waiter who was a lone hostage. As soon as he entered the door, under the guidance of the waiter, the two hurried to the hotel's wine cellar. Open the door now, and then walk in slowly. Luca Weaver put the muzzle of the gun against the waiter's waist, forcing the innocent waiter to explore the way for him. The door of the wine cellar was well soundproofed, and once the door was closed, you couldn't hear what was going on inside at all. For this kind of location, it is also good to have a meat shield in front. The waiter had no idea what he was going to face, but judging from the nervous look of the foreigner behind him, he knew that there was no good thing going on. But if he disagreed, he would die immediately. If he opened the wine cellar, he might still be able to survive. Who would choose the option of certain death if they had the choice? The waiter nervously opened the door of the wine cellar, and the entire wine cellar was silent. The imagined danger did not come, which made the waiter feel relieved. Luca Weaver pushed the muzzle of his gun forward, and the waiter obediently walked into the wine cellar. As he went deeper, he suddenly heard some discordant sounds that should be the panting of humans, which was particularly obvious in the quiet atmosphere of the wine cellar. Before the waiter could remind him, two men in black suddenly flashed out from the wine cabinet in the wine cellar. Gin and vodka had no intention of talking nonsense, and they shot directly at the waiter. Luca Weaver took 3 steps forward against the waiter, and he finally saw Louise with a face full of fear. He raised his gun and aimed at Louise without hesitation, and Louise's life ended the next second. After doing all this, Luca Weaver began to evacuate without hesitation. He still used the waiter's body as his bulletproof vest and tried to retreat in a hurry. His behavior caused the gunfire in the wine cellar to pause, and the next second, the intensive firing of 2 submachine guns resounded throughout the space of the wine cellar. Speaking of it, Luca Weaver did not hate Japan, because this was where he made his fortune. But he really hated Mecca, because he did not feel safe here. Although agents do not have an advantage in firepower, even the firepower of bank robbers is stronger than that of their group of agents, which is somewhat insulting. Today, Luca Weaver suffered a loss in firepower again, and he no longer had the ability to retaliate. Finally, Luca Weaver fell to a position 1 step away from the entrance of the wine cellar and swallowed his last breath with difficulty. Gin and vodka walked slowly to Luca Weaver, took a picture of his face, and hurriedly left before anyone came to the wine cellar. Chapter 341 Helping Master Pisco to be respectable. Just as Gin and vodka were evacuating, the sound of gunfire suddenly broke out again in the Beho City Hotel. This gunfight was different from the small-scale submachine gunfight between Gin and his friends. Vodka even heard the sound of automatic rifles and grenades exploding in the chaotic gunfire. "Brother, let's leave first." Gin's decisiveness has never been questioned. The first time he heard the gunfire, he took vodka and left the Beho City Hotel. The Porsche 356A mixed in the traffic rushing to leave the Beho City Hotel and drove away from the hotel without hindrance. At the planned location in the car, Gin opened the window a crack and began to smoke. Not long after, Yuan Shenfei drove his Aston Martin to the meeting point, slowly parked the car next to Jin's car, lit a cigarette, and rolled down the window. What happened just now? There is more than one group of Langley rats in the hotel. Just now, another group of Langley rats came to the door. I suspect that the second group of Langley rats are not the same group as the first group. The second group of guys are more likely to come to silence people. A standard combat squad of 8 people, with strong capabilities and skilled cooperation. I suspect that these guys have a military service background. Except that the things in their hands are not so strong. If they were fully armed, I would have to run away as soon as I saw them. The guys who were caught were all silenced by them. After silencing them, they evacuated as soon as possible. I guess this group of Langley rats must have planned it in advance. Later, this team of people was obviously the work of Ian Robert, and their original purpose was not to silence people. Their target was Bell Mode. Unfortunately, Luca Weaver's mess was too big, and Robert's professional team had to change their target midway to clean up the mess left by Luca Weaver. Yuan Shenfei fought and retreated with more powerful firepower, injuring 2 of the action team members. As for the CIA personnel who were silenced, they were killed by Toyama Tobi before he evacuated. It is not an exaggeration to say that these people are all Luca Weaver's confidants. When Mizuno Rina takes over in the future, she will have to find a way to remove Luca Weaver's influence in the infiltration team. Toyama Tobi's solution has always been rough. Wouldn't it be much easier to just kill these people and re-establish a new infiltration team than to take over a mess? Mizuno Rina now has the credit and money. What kind of team can't she establish? After understanding the situation that Toyama Tobi encountered, even Jin couldn't ask for more. It was not easy to escape safely in the face of an entire professional combat squad. Jin and Toyama Tobi smoked cigarettes through the car windows. They were waiting for the situation of Vermouth and Pisco. Brother, I think you have to see this. Vodka handed the notebook in his hand to Jin with a serious expression. Since a large number of media gathered at the memorial service, news was published as soon as the gunfight broke out. Paper newspapers have a lag in news, but the news about the incident at the Heido City Hotel on the internet has already made a lot of noise. The news that Vodka showed Jin was obviously not this. In addition to the 2 consecutive gunfights at the Heido City Hotel, another piece of news also shocked the eyes of Japanese netizens. The chairman of Mitsubishi Motors, Kenzo Masayama, who is usually well dressed and amiable in the news, is actually a murderer. The picture accompanying the news is a photo of the memorial service. From the photo, it can be seen that the surrounding environment is very dark and everyone is paying attention to the slides on the stage. In the corner of the photo, Pisco is holding a pistol high and aiming at the crystal chandelier on the ceiling of the venue. The murder that occurred at the memorial service was also exposed in the news. The deceased was Shigehiko Taguchi, a congressman who has recently been involved in a bribery scandal. One is a congressman who accepted bribes, and the other is a chairman of a car company. What else can I say? 2 consecutive news stories with explosive points have caused heated discussions among the whole nation, and Pisco's means of committing the crime have been discussed by the whole nation. In short, Pisco has become famous this time, and the price of being famous is that everyone in the country knows that he is a murderer. There is also a high probability that it is related to the bribery case of Shigehiko Tsugachi. Toyama Tobi felt that he seemed to hear the grinding of Jin's teeth. Pisco's suffocating operation simply showed off Jin's face. This damn old waste. Jin checked the popularity of the news. The news was so hot that there was no way to suppress the heat. The gunfight that originally took place in the Heido City Hotel had already caused heated discussions among the people. Now Pisco has become the top stream of the day with the help of the favorable wind caused by Toyama Tobi. In this situation, Pisco has to die. Jin started to contact the boss without saying a word, even though anyone with a discerning eye could see that killing Pisco was the only way at this time. But on the one hand, Jin did not have the authority to directly execute the cadres of the organization, and on the other hand, it had something to do with Pisco's status as a veteran. If the boss insists on being sentimental, they can only think of a way to get Pisco out of the hotel first. But the resources consumed to get people out of the hotel safely are completely different from those consumed to kill people and silence them. Just like Luca Weaver's choice, why would he choose to silence people instead of saving them? It's because it costs more to save people and less to silence them. The boss didn't let Jin wait any longer, and soon an email was sent to Jin's mobile phone. The boss has given the order, kill Pisco and make him shut up forever. Can Vermouth complete this task? Yuan Shenfei asked Jin. I'm afraid not. Vermouth hasn't replied to me yet. There may be someone around her. Jin looked at his phone and shook his head. According to the time, the Metropolitan Police Department's cops should be at the hotel. I'd better go. Even if there are police here, I can find an opportunity. Hurry up. The police in the hotel may not have received the news that Pisco killed someone, but it may not be the case in a while. Don't worry, I'll go and help Pisco look good. After saying this, Toyama Tobi drove away. When he arrived at Bihu City Hotel, he did not contact the police immediately, but quietly sneaked into the hotel. Toyama Tobi did not go to the memorial service. In the linen room on the first floor, Toyama Tobi called the contact information of Pisco sent to him by Jin. Moses, who is this? Pisco, this is Spiritus. I'm in the linen room on the first floor. Come and see me. Toyama Tobi hung up the phone after saying this. Pisco was a cadre in charge of operations before, so it was not difficult for him to get out of the venue alone during the chaos. Even though he is now in his 70s and 80s with a head full of white hair. Chapter 342. Don't worry. What's going on, Spiritus? Why are you in such a hurry? Pisco hurried over and found that it was indeed Yuan Shenfei in the linen room. After letting down his guard, Pisco complained to Yuan Shenfei, if you have anything to say, please tell me quickly. The police at the venue are checking very strictly. I have to go back quickly. Yuan Shenfei didn't say anything. He took out his mobile phone and connected to the internet. After finding Pisco's news, he handed it over. Pisco didn't understand why and took Yuan Shenfei's phone, but he was frightened when he saw it. What is going on? Pisco was shocked. The scene of his murder was actually captured by the reporter. What does this mean? This means that his action this time has failed. I remember that reporter. Damn him. Pisco was fierce and then looked at Toyama Tobi. Is it too late to suppress this news? What did the organization say? Is there anything I can do? Toyama Tobi took his phone back from Pisco and shook his head gently. I can't suppress it anymore because of the gunfight in the hotel. Your news has been making a lot of noise on the internet. Even if the news is withdrawn, at least 1/3 of the young people in Tokyo already know about it. In addition, the CIA seems to have targeted you. The 2 gunfights in the hotel were me and Jin fighting against the CIA. Toyama Tobi told Pisco expressionlessly about the organization's final judgment on him. It was ironic that Pisco, an old criminal, faced the organization's judgment at the end of his life. Pisco was a veteran of the organization. How could he not understand Toyama Tobi's hidden meaning? He was no longer useful to the organization. The organization had only one way to deal with useless members. That was death. At Pisco's age, he didn't even have the chance to be sent to the laboratory to become a guinea pig. His body couldn't stand the torture of drug A at all. There is no other choice except death. Spiritus, I'm an old man in the organization. If you let me contact the boss, he will let me live. Pisco still didn't believe that Karasuma and I would be so ruthless. After all, they were old brothers who had fought together. Moreover, Pisco was not the kind of person who didn't know what was good for him. Since he was old and useless, he never tried to show his presence in the organization. He just quietly managed the organization's public industry, which was the car company under his name. Sometimes he would even find some good seedlings among some ordinary members, and then hand them over to the organization after training them. Even if he was placed in the ancient court, he would be an old man who could enjoy his old age. It was just a failed mission. Pisco didn't think that Karasuma and I would abandon him so simply. Even if he took advantage of the police in the hotel before they reacted, he could rescue him now. He promised that he would not appear on the street in the future and would not cause trouble for the organization. In the face of Pisco's pleading, Toyama Tobi was not as decisive as Jin. He chose to clear himself directly. Before I came, Jin had already contacted the boss, and it was the boss's order to deal with you. But Pisco, you are a veteran of the organization. I'm willing to give you this opportunity. You can now personally ask the boss for mercy. Thank you. Thank you. Pisco nodded hurriedly, bowing to Toyama Tobi to express his gratitude. He knew very well that, if it was Jin who came, he would definitely not give himself this opportunity. I'm afraid he would have shot himself to death at this moment. Toyama Tobi allowed him to contact the boss, which was no different from a grace of rebirth. Toyama Tobi had given him the opportunity. Whether he could contact the boss and fight for a way out depends on Pisco's own ability. Facts have proved that Pisco has no ability. Toyama Tobi actually knew very well that, even if he didn't look at the decision of Karasuma and Nair in the original work, Jin had a history of killing teammates by taking advantage of the mission. But in this time and space, Pisco was targeted by the CIA. Who is the CIA? That's a fly that only bites seamless eggs. Even if Pisco can hide in the future, Bin Laden has been found, not to mention a small Pisco. It can be said that the existence of the entire organization is to serve Karasuma and I alone, and Pisco, the elder, has just reached the time when he must be abandoned. The elders and friendships in the organization are not important. What is important is the value. The worst thing Pisco did was to know the times. An organization cadre retired to the second line at age, doing some work that others can do and making leaks, and most importantly, he was targeted by the CIA, let alone calling to beg. Even if he found Karasuma and I himself and held his thigh, it would be useless. Sure enough, Pisco, who was holding the phone to try to contact the boss, looked more and more ugly. In the past, he never failed to contact the boss, or he hadn't contacted Karasuma and I directly for a long time. Now he can't get through to the boss's phone, and he doesn't reply to emails. This is obviously a clear signal. The organization no longer needs him. Pisco slowly put away his phone and gave Yuan Shenfei a bitter smile. Haha, it's ironic, isn't it? Yuan Shenfei nodded and said nothing. It was indeed ironic. An old man who was still struggling for the organization at this age was easily abandoned. If it were in other companies, employees would not know what they would think privately. But this is an organization, so the organization does not care what employees think privately. As long as they complete the task well and show enough value, it will be fine. There is no such thing as corporate culture in the organization. They are all a group of mentally ill people. Do they want a chicken feather corporate culture? Looking at Pisco, who was unwilling, but still decided to die, Yuan Shenfei said kindly, you can leave some last words and choose a way to die that you like. If you need it, I can help you apply for drug A. I guess Jin will definitely bring this thing. Pisco hooked the corner of his mouth and said nothing. He took out his phone again and edited an email. Yuan Shenfei did not check the content edited by Pisco, but he guessed that this email was sent to Ireland. Forget it, don't apply for drug A for me. I feel so uncomfortable after taking it. I don't want to suffer this at my age. Do you mind if I use a gun? Pisco stretched out his hand to Yuan Shenfei. Yuan Shenfei nodded, walked to the depths of the linen room, and took out a pistol from the secret compartment through a handkerchief. Pisco's eyes were strange. He didn't expect Yuan Shenfei to hide a gun in the linen room. After thinking about it, he made a "you are awesome" gesture to Yuan Shenfei. The bullet was loaded, the safety was turned off, and Pisco put the pistol against his chin. The chairman of Siling Motors Company committed suicide in Bihu City Hotel out of fear of crime. I guess this should be the headline tomorrow. By the way, Spiritus. Pisco looked at Yuan Shenfei for the last time with sympathy in his eyes. I wish you all the best in the future. After that, the elder of the organization pulled the trigger in his hand very decisively. With a gunshot, everything returned to calm. Chapter 343. You seem to be targeting me. The crisp sound of gunshots immediately caused a quick response from the police in the hotel. After Pisco committed suicide in front of him, Toyama Tobi left the linen room on the first floor as soon as possible, and then bypassed the hotel's surveillance and left through the employee passage. After leaving the hotel, Toyama Tobi did not go far, but detoured to the main entrance of the hotel and entered the scene by face recognition. The detective at the murder scene could enter, and Toyama Tobi, who was half a member of the Metropolitan Police Department and a registered informant, could naturally enter. Led by other criminal police, Toyama Tobi came to the memorial service. This time, all three departments of the first investigation were out in full force. Officer Megia, Officer Shiratori, and Officer Sato, the only three police officers above the rank of Inspector General in the three departments, were all present. Officer Shiratori led people to the direction of the linen room. Seeing Toyama Tobi's arrival, Officer Megia was relieved, if not as if he had been pardoned. No matter who comes, as long as he is a brother, there is room for him to play his brother's role. Brother Toyama, you're here. Officer Megia said hello to Toyama Tobi with a tired look on his face. The public security in Bikacho has finally improved a little, and the signs of the proliferation of guns in Tokyo society have been curbed to some extent. Officer Megia thought that everything was developing in a good direction, but he didn't expect that the previous quietness was not a prelude to a turn for the better, but the calm before the storm. This is really a case of nothing happening, but once something happens, it will be a big deal. Although Officer Megia is currently in an awkward stage, where he can't be promoted or demoted, but he doesn't want to be called over and scolded by his superiors every now and then. The appearance of Toyama Tobi is just right. He doesn't expect Toyama Tobi to help him deduce the truth of the 3 and now 4 shootings in the hotel. He also expects Toyama Tobi to bring him some useful information. Inspector Megia, Inspector Sato. Toyama Tobi nodded to the two, then looked at the scene of the large-scale investigation in a strange way. Are you still investigating the murder of the congressman? Yeah. What's wrong? Someone has posted the murderer on the internet. It's the photo of the chairman of Selling Motors. He was accidentally photographed by reporters when he committed the crime. Toyama Tobi did not use his mobile phone to help find the news. What if Jin suddenly called him when Megia or Sato was holding his phone? Or if someone else sent an email or text message? Toyama would have to bother to explain it himself. Simply let them contact the office to confirm the accuracy of Toyama Tobi's information. Sato decisively called the people in the office, and the people in the office immediately gave Sato feedback. Toyama Tobi was right. The murderer was the chairman of Selling Motors. This matter is still fermenting wildly on the internet. More and more people know about it. Quick! Arrest Masayama Kenzo immediately. Inspector Megia was shocked, since the news was clearly posted on the internet. He was also afraid that Kenzo Masayama would flee in advance after seeing the news. Just when Sato was about to take people to find Kenzo Masayama, Shiratori hurriedly led people back to the venue. Officer Megia, just when the gunshot was heard, Kenzo Masayama, chairman of Mitsubishi Motors, shot himself in the linen room on the first floor of the hotel. Is Kenzo Masayama so stubborn? Officer Megia really couldn't understand Kenzo Masayama's choice. Although it seemed that his position was not right, as a capitalist in Japan, Kenzo Masayama really didn't need to commit suicide so quickly. Not to mention that the money in his hands could allow him to hire a luxurious team of lawyers. So many serial killers in Bika Town had not yet been executed. Why was he, a murderer who had only killed one person, in such a hurry? Pisco's death was full of contradictions. If this person was not afraid of death, then he shouldn't have killed the corrupt congressman in such an occasion. But if he was afraid of death, why did he die so easily? Brother Shiratori, take me to the scene. I'll leave Sato to you. Officer Megia instinctively felt that something was wrong with Kenzo Masayama's death, and decided to go to the scene to investigate, or rely on his luck, to find the brother at the scene. After Megia and Shiratori left, Toyama Tobi asked Sato, is there anything I can help you with? Sato was about to shake his head, but suddenly stopped, thought about it, and asked Toyama Tobi, how is your English? Not bad, and no accent. That's great. Sato immediately grabbed a detective and brought Toyama Tobi to Vermouth. This is Hollywood star Miss Chris Wynyard. Please help translate and take a statement for Miss Wynyard. Vermouth's current personality is that of an out-and-out American Hollywood star. It's not that no one in the Metropolitan Police Department knows English, but their English is probably only understood by their own people. If you want to communicate smoothly with outsiders, it's simply a disaster. Vermouth had to guess what they said, and it was quite difficult. Even writing with gestures was extremely troublesome. Toyama Tobi readily agreed to Sato's request, and immediately helped the detective to take Vermouth's statement. After taking the statement, the detective continued to do other things, leaving only Toyama Tobi and Vermouth. I didn't expect that your relationship with the Japanese police is so good. They can ask you for help when taking the statement. Vermouth took the lead in bringing up the topic. That's nothing. I have my own parking space in the parking lot of the Metropolitan Police Department building. Toyama Tobi chuckled. Vermouth was just pretending to be stupid. Toyama Tobi didn't believe that Vermouth, such an intelligence expert, had been in Japan for so long and still couldn't figure out his own intelligence. Yuan Shenfei did not intend to follow Belmode's rhythm. After rebuking her, he immediately said to Belmode, I think this should be our second meeting, if we don't count the video conference. I'm a little curious. Since we have never met, there should be no possibility of grudges. Why do you seem to be targeting me? Yuan Shenfei's straightforwardness made Belmode stunned for a moment. She was used to the hypocrisy, double-faced, and sweet words between organizational cadres. Yuan Shenfei's sudden straightforwardness really made Belmode a little uncomfortable. Oh, really? Maybe it's your illusion? Belmode's eyes flashed and said with a smile, you also said that we didn't know each other before, and I didn't target you just after returning to Japan. Spiritus, you must have thought too much. Yuan Shenfei curled his lips. Bell mode. You are not insulting my IQ by doing this, but your own IQ. How can I not know what the situation is? Chapter 344. Surface Consensus. Yuan Shenfei pulled at his collar and smiled at Vermouth. It's interesting that you didn't seem to have such a big hostility towards me when we first met. So what made you suddenly start to target me? Rum's order? Without waiting for Vermouth to start talking nonsense, Yuan Shenfei simply denied this speculation. Obviously not. According to my understanding, your position in the organization is very transcendent. Everyone says that you are the boss's favorite woman. I don't care how much water this title has, but Rum definitely doesn't have the ability to make you his loyal dog. Not to mention that Rum doesn't have this ability. Even if you really agree, the boss will not allow it. I think the problem should be on my side. Yuan Shenfei stared at Vermouth's expressionless face. Since Yuan Shenfei started talking, Vermouth's face has not had so many unnecessary expressions at all. Reality is not like movies and TV shows that need to show so many unnecessary expressions to the audience. In reality, in the organization, any unnecessary expression may be cleared by the organization. At this moment, Vermouth, a witch with 1,000 faces and a new Hollywood movie star, is even less likely to give Yuan Shenfei extra expressions. Toyama Tobi didn't care what Vermouth felt. He just tilted his head and stared at Vermouth, staring at her, and said, even if you didn't know before you returned to Japan, you should have received some information now. My growth trajectory is different from that of most cadres in the organization. I'm an illegal immigrant. This means that, before I joined the organization, my interpersonal relationships were really very simple, basically non-existent. It was already very difficult for me to survive, and there would be no more social interactions at all. Although Toyama Tobi was talking nonsense at the moment, Vermouth had no way to refute it, based on the evidence of various investigations by the organization. After all, Toyama Tobi was wearing a mask, and before he came to the Conan world, he had no interpersonal relationships at all. After he joined the organization, even if the organization posted advertisements all over the streets, no one in Japan knew him. Even if there was, it was estimated that there was a high probability that they recognized the wrong person. Then here comes the interesting part. I'm quite sure that we have never met before. Vermouth, you are suddenly targeting me like this. I guess it is probably someone in my current social relationship who made you feel the danger. I basically don't have a good reputation in the organization, so it's understandable that you feel the danger. According to the rules of the organization, I should have been planning to give you a hard time in the dark, but since we have the opportunity to stand together and chat today, it seems like it would be nice to talk it out. Yuan Shenfei clearly saw some sarcasm in Vermouth's eyes, but he didn't care. I'm a person who goes with the flow, and I'm very satisfied with the current situation. I will definitely not be promoted. There are Gin and Rum above me, and now it is almost my limit. And I feel very comfortable with my current living state, and I have no intention of destroying this living state. Similarly, I don't like others to interfere in my life. I don't care what you think, Vermouth. Yuan Shenfei said to Vermouth seriously. Anyone who doesn't let me live a good life, I will not let him have an easy life, no matter who they are. Even Gin and Rum are no exception. I also want to tell you that my current social relationships are really very simple, and I have enough capital to try and make mistakes. If you are still going to target me, then I will not retaliate against you at the first opportunity. I will first screen all the people I know around me. Since you think I'm dangerous, then I should let the people you care about feel what real danger is. You know, I have no shortage of ability or determination. After I find that person, we will settle the accounts. In short, before you are sure enough to kill him, let's keep out of each other's way. Deal. The character of Toyama Tobi at this moment is an organization cadre who is not afraid of wearing shoes barefoot and has a worrying mental state. As an orphan with no relatives or friends, he can be said to have no worries. And Toyama Tobi also has a history of watching his teacher die in front of him. Vermouth doesn't know what the relationship between Toyama Tobi and Moriarty is, and what the situation is. She only knows that it was the most dangerous time for Toyama Tobi in the organization's career, and it was finally resolved by Moriarty's death in Kudo's house. It seems that Toyama Tobi is indeed a cold-blooded animal. Toyama Tobi's pointed and targeted threats made Vermouth embarrassed to find that she had become the one wearing shoes. In movies and TV series, the one who can be threatened by the villain is also a very popular positive character. But Vermouth didn't dare to bet whether Toyama Tobi dared, could, or would do it. Vermouth, who was already very upset by Toyama Tobi's blatant threats, had to smile and show that she had reached an agreement with Toyama Tobi. Toyama Tobi had almost seen all the cards, and Vermouth didn't care whether her response would make Toyama Tobi realize anything more. Deal. Okay, a wise choice. After reaching a superficial agreement, Toyama Tobi didn't continue to talk nonsense with Vermouth. He came to Sato again. Toyama Tobi returned to the Bihu City Hotel again for 3 purposes. First, he wanted to clean up Pisco before the police found out that Pisco was the murderer. Secondly, he wanted to meet Vermouth and have a chat. From what we just saw, this item was completed in excess. Thirdly, he was going to guide Sato or the entire Metropolitan Police Department to throw the dirty water on the CIA. Actually, the dirty water was originally created by the CIA, and what Toyama Tobi did was just to make it a little dirtier. But it was all dirty water anyway, and I believe that Rina Mizunashi's new boss would not mind having 2 more black pots on his head. Anyway, he didn't know, and not knowing was just tacit consent, right? Why, you haven't closed the team after all the murders have been solved. How can I close the team? Thanks to you, there have been a total of 4 murders in this hotel, 2 of which were successfully solved, but the remaining 2 shootings are more difficult than the other. Sato felt that her head was as big as a bucket, and what she couldn't stand the most now was the shooting. She would rather run around for all kinds of weird murders like before. At least there was hope. Once it comes to a shooting case, the high-intensity overtime work of the entire search team beckons her in midair. So you think the guns in the hands of these criminals were bought by them? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 345, Tauzi, my good friend. I'm here to give you information. Sato or the entire Metropolitan Police Department actually has some PTSD from the shooting. It was not easy to control the number of guns in Beaker Town within a controllable range. Any shooting will remind them of the dark overtime life in the Metropolitan Police Department building not long ago. They really don't want to experience this kind of high-intensity overtime team building activity again. So when Sato learned about the shooting at the Bido City Hotel, her first reaction was, where did these bastards get their guns? Am I going to work overtime again? Exclamation mark. Relax, Officer Sato, relax. I think you are a little too excited. Toyama Tobi comforted Sato. As far as I know, the last time we cracked down on the entire underground arms market was quite effective. At least no one dares to buy and sell arms openly on the black market in Beaker. Toyama Tobi has a lot of say in these things, because the entire investigation division's crackdown on the underground arms market cannot be separated from his cooperation. Each operation is essentially a fishing enforcement. Yuan Shinfumi first pretends to be a customer who buys guns with his talent and the intelligence of the arms group. Then, after each visit to a black market arms store, the Metropolitan Police Department will come to the door to wipe out the den. Of course, in order to ensure that the search section can continue to drain the pond, to catch fish in the future, and also to protect Yuan Shinfumi. After determining the location of the black market arms store, the Metropolitan Police Department will send another person to investigate. Even if there are sporadic fish that slip through the net, the gunmen of the arms group will complete the task of killing and silencing them. The main focus is collusion between officials and businessmen. No, it should be called government enterprise cooperation. Those black market arms dealers who were killed and arrested probably never thought until their death that the largest arms dealer on the local black market and the Metropolitan Police Department were actually in the same group. You mean the weapons in the hands of these 2 gangs were bought before? Sato frowned, but I always feel that something doesn't make sense. No, I don't think the weapons of this group of people should come from the black market. Yuan Shenfei felt that Sato's imagination was not rich enough. Now he finally knew what the difference between the police and detectives in Conan's world was. The way of thinking of the police in Conan's world is closer to ordinary people, or normal people. Whether they solve cases, or think about problems, they think with conventional thinking. But the thinking of detectives is very jumpy. It can't be said to be unrestrained, but it is also very bizarre. The points that detectives focus on and the way of thinking are completely different from what a normal person should have. But it is precisely these different ways of thinking from ordinary people that completely fit the jumpy thinking of the Mihua murderer. In this way, this group of normal police can't enter the inner world of the murderer at all, but these detectives are very compatible with the murderer. It's no wonder that the detectives, not the police, solve the cases in this world. Haven't you seen that Maurika Goro, who was born as a criminal police, can only handle murder cases, but he is proficient in everything else, whether it is finding cats and dogs, catching mistresses, or investigating extramarital affairs. With Maurika Goro's experience as a criminal police, it is simply a dimensionality reduction attack to deal with these commissions. Sato is similar to Maori. Many times, they are just one step away from success, but they can't get in because they don't dare to think. What Yuan Tobi has to do now is to hand Sato a key that can open the lock. I just asked the hotel about the 2 shootings. If nothing unexpected happens, submachine guns and automatic rifles were used in these 2 shootings, right? That's the problem. The arms dealers we swept away don't account for 8 or 9 out of 10 of the entire black market arms, but at least 6 or 7 out of 10. When have you ever seen a large number of automatic weapons appear in these arms dens? The main reason why automatic firepower is not rampant in the Tokyo market is actually not related to the government level. There is no tacit understanding between the police and the arms. Smuggling arms is a bloody business. There is no tacit understanding between the government and the Metropolitan Police Department. If there is any tacit understanding, it is a tacit understanding between arms dealers. The upgrade of firepower needs to be guided and upgraded step by step. It is cool to evolve from strict gun control to RPG flying all over the sky, but how can everyone make money? Only by gradually upgrading firepower can everyone make more money. Sell pistols for a while, then upgrade to submachine guns, shotguns, semi-automatic rifles, and finally automatic rifles, light machine guns, and heavy machine guns. The main point is orderly progress and no end. For some arms dealers with insufficient strength, this business model can also enable them to keep up with market changes. Doing this will only make the general public and the Japanese police suffer, but who cares? Yuan Shenfei's insightful analysis successfully led Sato's thinking astray. The more Sato listened, the more she felt that Yuan Shen made sense. And she also realized that this matter seemed to be beyond the ability of these criminal police in the Metropolitan Police Department. After realizing that the Investigation Division 1 could not handle this matter, the resolute Sato immediately contacted Officer Meijio to report it together. Meijio was naturally happy to get rid of this hot potato. There were a total of 4 incidents in the Heido City Hotel, and they handled 2 of them. The remaining 2 were not, because they could not handle them, but because they were not professionally qualified. In this way, no one could say that they were wrong. The police superiors attached great importance to the situation reported by Meijio, and soon other police officers came to replace the Investigation Division 1 to continue the investigation. Toyama Tobi also retired after completing his mission and returned to the hotel. Not long after Toyama Tobi returned to the hotel, Amuro Toru came to the door. "Hey, this matter has alarmed your Zero team," Toyama Tobi asked knowingly, and Amuro Toru's irritability brought him a different kind of pleasure. "What the hell are you bastards doing?" "Toyama Tobi, I warn you not to act recklessly, just because you have a special amnesty." Amuro Toru scolded Toyama Tobi in a harsh voice. Toyama Tobi was not angry at all. Instead, he looked at Amuro Toru with amusement. "How can you say that, Bourbon? You forgot that we are in the same group. Besides, the mess caused by the Heido City Hotel has little to do with me. The deceased Masayama Kento was a veteran of the organization, Pisco. He was abandoned by the organization after his mission failed. The others were CIA agents. Their target was Pisco, but their action was exposed, and they were caught by Jin. We also had a fight in the hotel, so Langley suffered a small loss. You see, this has nothing to do with me from beginning to end. Bourbon, you have found the wrong person to blame. Toyama Tobi looked up and down at Amuro Toru. This old friend doesn't seem to be shy at all, does he? Chapter 346, Crazy Vermouth. Amuro Toru is in a big headache right now, but this has little to do with Toyama Tobi. Amuro Toru knows exactly what kind of person Toyama is. This person has a unique taste for evil. The more he breaks his defense, the happier he is. On weekdays, Amuro Toru doesn't mind showing off his defense and getting some information from Toyama Tobi. There is no difference between working in intelligence and working in the entertainment industry. If you can get support from some quarters by acting stupid, why not? But now Amuro Toru's head is really hurting. Hiding an organization underground in Tokyo is deadly enough, plus the undercover agents from all sides and the FBI that had returned empty-handed before. It is enough to make the Zero team drink a pot. Now the CIA is involved. For Amuro Toru, who regards the country as his lover, the appearance of the FBI and the CIA is not a kind of face-to-face NTR. Hey, look, this is your lover. We come and go as we please, and you can only watch. Are you happy? Toru Amuro felt that he was not very happy, and even felt sorry that Toyama Tobi failed to wipe out the CIA in the Bedo City Hotel. You said that you are so capable, why didn't you kill people directly? Exclamation mark. What does this have to do with me? Do you think I'm Rambo? It's good enough that I can evacuate intact in a combat squad with a complete team and tacit cooperation. But now it seems that we should reach a certain consensus. Bourbon, you don't like Langley, right? It happens that I don't like it either. I think having a common goal will make our cooperation smoother. Toyama Tobi smiled at Toru Amuro, and he looked like an honest businessman. Toru Amuro looked at the expression on Toyama Tobi's face, and said in his heart that it was outrageous. Such a treacherous and cunning person can actually show the appearance of an honest person so realistically. It's really a waste of talent not to go to the film and television industry to make a lot of money and become famous. But Toru Amuro did not refute Toyama Tobi's words. He knew very well that Toyama Tobi was right. Regardless of what Toyama Tobi's purpose in staying in the organization is, it is not wrong that the CIA is their enemy. With a common enemy, everyone's cooperation will be more pleasant in the future. Not to mention that, in fighting against the common enemy, those who have intelligence should provide intelligence and those who have strength should contribute strength. This is reasonable, right? By the way, this intelligence is considered a promotional gift package. You just need to help me complete 2 tasks of the organization. How about it? This price is very favorable, right? Toyama Tobi's words directly shattered Amuro Toru's dream of getting him for free. What a joke. I'm a person who does a losing business. Although the intelligence is worthless, it is unlikely to get money. But it should be okay for Amuro Toru to work as a laborer, right? It just so happens that this is something that Amuro Toru can decide on his own, and he doesn't need to ask his superiors as an excuse. You are such a bastard. Amuro Toru was so angry that he laughed, but he didn't refuse. Thank you for the compliment. Toyama Tobi smiled and raised the mineral water in his hand to Amuro Toru. Next, I will use my intelligence authority to find the CIA people through the organization. You should be ready at that time. If you don't want to have an extra father above you, some things are better done first and talked about later, you know? Amuro Toru nodded expressionlessly. Of course, he knew what Toyama Tobi was hinting at. Even if he didn't want to have an extra father above him, he couldn't change the reality. It was already depressing that his lover had a strange father above him. If the CIA came to be a father, Amuro Toru would not even know the meaning of his job. Therefore, the action and plan against Langley can only start from Group 0 and end with Group 0. Fortunately, Group 0, as a special intelligence agency of the National Police Agency, has great authority. When one day Amuro Toru can't handle this mess anymore, he can just throw it to the upper level of the National Police Agency. By then, the matter will be done. Even if the upper level has other ideas, they can't implement them. They can only follow Amuro Toru to the end. This thing can be tolerated as a son or a grandson, but it is not something that ordinary people can tolerate as a great-grandson, or a great-grandson who is looked down upon by others. After finalizing the general strategy against the CIA in the next few months with Toru Amuro left in a hurry. Unlike Toyama Tobi, who has complete control over the arms group, the Zero Group is a national institution after all. It cannot be said that there are many factions inside, but at least they need to communicate with each other before taking action. What's more, Toru Amuro is also planning to use the authority of the National Police Agency Zero Group to pry the Public Security Department of the Metropolitan Police Department, so it is even more necessary to prepare in advance. After the Heido City Hotel incident came to an end, Rina Mizunashi also got what she wanted. Luca Weaver had caused too much trouble, and he was dead. The dead Luca Weaver automatically became the Japanese account leveling immortal, and played his last value. Although he and Robert did not gain any benefits from the operation, he gained a account leveling immortal who would not refute. The hidden dangers that have accumulated for many years have been swept away, and there is also profit in this operation. Robert is also a kind person, and he also values Rina Mizunashi's potential. After the operation was over, Robert pushed Rina Mizunashi to be promoted from an agent to a senior agent, and inherited the Hondo infiltration team to continue the undercover mission. As the leader of the infiltration team, Rina Mizunashi was directly responsible to Robert, and all treatment was in accordance with the highest standards of the same level. It can be said that the Hondo infiltration team was a shotgun upgrade, and finally became what Luca Weaver expected. It's a pity that in addition to Rina Mizunashi, the entire infiltration team is left with Akimi Miyano, who is not one of them. At the beginning, all Luca Weaver's confidants became the dead souls under the guns of the organization and Langley. Rina Mizunashi accepted the advice of Toyama Tobi, and after asking Akimi Miyano's opinion, she absorbed her as the first member of the Hondo infiltration team. Then Rina Mizunashi asked Robert for some greenhorns who had just finished training. Rina Mizunashi didn't have any special actions that needed the cooperation of her subordinates in the short term, so it was better to have some clean team members to train from scratch. After all, people trained by themselves are more reliable than those sent by others, not to mention that Tokyo and Bika Town will never lack opportunities and places for them to practice. In a flash, another half month had passed. Although he called it half a month, it was only 2 weeks in Toyama Tobi's perception. But he didn't know how much time had passed in the Conan world. He only knew that in the past half month, he had celebrated 3 Valentine's Days, 2 Christmases and 1 New Year's Day. The Conan timeline is so terrifying. Toyama Tobi had just met with Keimaka Tabuki and learned about the recent movements of the arms group before returning to the hotel. As soon as he entered the room and closed the door, Toyama Tobi became alert instantly. Following his sixth sense, he immediately squatted down, rolled forward and pulled out a pistol. A man at the door of the room was holding a pistol and staring at him unkindly. Vermouth, what are you doing? Chapter 347. What does your desire for death have to do with me? Toyama Tobi recognized at a glance that the person at the door was Vermouth in disguise, because the person she disguised was called Alishide Tomoki, the new school doctor of Teton High School. He was also the victim of Conan and Maurika Goro. The poor child's father was killed in the bathroom by his second wife because he treated Maurika Goro. The main theme is a kind of revenge. But this is not the point. Alishide Tomoki's tragic life is obviously not over yet. After his father died, Alishide Tomoki was ready to leave the sad place of Maka and return to his hometown with his grandmother and the little nanny at home. Then his identity was noticed by Vermouth. Vermouth, who returned to Japan, couldn't wait to get close to her angel. It happened that Alishide Tomoki and Mauri Ran had an intersection, so Vermouth thought of a plan to steal the beams and replace the pillars. But the problem is here, shouldn't Vermouth be obsessed with sticking with the angel and teasing Conan at this time? What does it mean to run to where you live like crazy to ambush you? Due to the complexity of his identity, Yuan Shinfei never leaves his gun, and even always has it loaded. This is so that he can draw his gun and shoot at any time when he encounters danger. Belmode's ambush of Yuan Shinfei has already touched his bottom line. If there were no surveillance cameras in the corridor that could prove that Belmode came to his room, Yuan Shenfei would have shot her to death long ago. Yuan Shenfei believed that Belmode would definitely not tell anyone that she came to him, and if he killed her quietly, even if the organization wanted to find her, they probably wouldn't be able to find her. Belmode, tell me what the hell is wrong with you? Do you really think I dare not kill you? Yuan Shenfei's face was as gloomy as water, and he was ready to shoot if he disagreed with her. Belmode could also see that Yuan Shenfei was really determined to take her life. You know what you did, don't play dumb, Spiritus. Just like you said, you are insulting your own intelligence. I insult you, S*******. Yuan Shenfei cursed without any hesitation, looking very polite. I have done a lot of things recently, but none of them have anything to do with you, Vermouth. I said, you rotten apple, are you so impatient to die? Okay, I'll help you. Yuan Shenfei was ready to kill Vermouth and take her out to kill her. This woman was talking nonsense, as if she had done something to let her down. What's wrong with her? Spiritus, you are still lying. What did you promise me? I won't target you anymore, and you touch my people. Then why was Conan sent to the hospital for emergency treatment when he was dying? If it wasn't for the fact that the angel had the same blood type as him, he might not be able to be saved. Wait a minute, who did you say almost died? Yuan Shenfei suddenly felt something was wrong when he heard this. Conan almost died? In Toyama Tobi's memory, Conan did have several near-death experiences, and the most dangerous one might be. Vermouth finally calmed down at this moment, and she suddenly realized that Toyama Tobi's doubts did not seem to be fake. But as a cadre of the organization, Toyama Tobi must be able to fake these expressions, so if not, she would have to ask again. Didn't you lure the criminals in the stalactite cave near the 20th camping area? I have never heard of this place. You'd better tell the whole story. Vermouth quickly talked about the incident in the cave near the camping area. After all, what she got was second-hand information, and she only knew a general idea. Compared with the incident, Vermouth knew more about Conan's injuries. Toyama Tobi shook his head ridiculously when he heard the last part and put away the pistol in front of Vermouth. He knew that the reason why Vermouth hadn't fired until now was to want to know if she had a backup plan. She mentioned Conan and Toyama Tobi was not surprised at all, which really confirmed that Toyama Tobi knew about the relationship between Vermouth and Conan. Yuan Shenfei walked to the wine cabinet and took out a bottle of bourbon. After opening the lid, he took out 2 cups. After pouring some bourbon into each cup, Yuan Shenfei said to Vermouth calmly, "Calm down, Vermouth. You are now blinded by anger. If you use your expired brain to think about it, if it was me, Conan would never have survived. Go to the intelligence library to check when I have made such an inaccurate action plan since I joined the organization." Yuan Shenfei openly mocked Vermouth's concern. Some people in my munitions group have guns. If I need people to take action, I will send out the gunmen of the munitions group, not the robbers. You said, what can that group of brainless rabble do? And you said that there were a total of 4 little ghosts entering the cave, and Conan was carried out in the end. If it was me who took action, would those 3 little ghosts still be alive? What are you thinking about? Spiritus, what he said is correct. Vermouth unconsciously put down the pistol in her hand. After all, she had studied the intelligence of Toyama Tobi through self-study. She knew Toyama Tobi's style of doing things, but at least she had a basic understanding. Looking back calmly, this was really not Toyama Tobi's style. If it wasn't you, how could Conan? Vermouth hadn't finished her words when she was interrupted by Toyama Tobi with a sneer. After you returned to Japan, you only cared about your Conan and Xiaolin? Don't you know what kind of people are around Conan, especially those 3 little ghosts? They are both inexperienced and playful, and each one is more suicidal than the other. Conan didn't remember that they had been in danger several times and had to play with them. Can you blame me for this? When Toyama Tobi found that Vermouth had completely calmed down, he picked up the bourbon bottle on the table and swung it at Vermouth's head. Vermouth was more or less stunned by the blow, and she subconsciously wanted to touch the gun. Yuan Shenfei grabbed Belmode's neck and said viciously, "This has nothing to do with you coming to my room to ambush me today. This is simply because of the trouble you have caused me. Belmode, you are really old. You don't even know that there is a tail behind you. After saying that, Yuan Shenfei immediately opened the door and walked out. At this time, a waiter stood at the door and handed Yuan Shenfei a room card. Which room? 704. Has the monitoring room been notified? The monitoring of the entire hotel just happened to be broken. Yuan Shenfei walked into the elevator, pressed the corresponding floor, and after leaving the elevator, he took out a pistol and put on the silencer. At the door of 704, Yuan Shenfei swiped the card and kicked the door in one go. Looking at the two foreigners in the room, who were staring at him in astonishment, he simply shot each of them. Then Yuan Shenfei walked in and started to shoot again. Chapter 348. Vermouth, you're being targeted by the FBI. Who are these people? Vermouth's expression was serious. Just by looking at the appearance of these foreigners, she had made some judgments. Yuan Shenfei didn't say anything. He walked straight to the two bodies, put on gloves, and began to search the bodies. Soon, 2 certificates were found on their bodies by Yuan Shenfei. FBI Vermouth, you are being targeted by the FBI. Not only are you being targeted, but you have also caused me to be targeted by the FBI. Vermouth understood why Yuan Shenfei was so angry just now, and also understood why she was hit by the wine bottle just now. It seems that Yuan Shenfei still showed mercy, otherwise it should not have been a wine bottle, but a direct shot to kill her. They should have chased me from the United States to Japan. Vermouth quickly analyzed the origin of the FBI. Japan is not the area where the FBI often operates. Unless the case requires it, they will not send people to Japan in an organized manner. The appearance of these two foreigners is also the best proof. After all, the FBI team is different from the CIA. If nearly half of the members of the Hondo infiltration team have standard Japanese looks, it would be difficult for the FBI, who came to Japan from the United States to handle the case, to quickly gather so many Japanese agents. Moreover, a temporary team is not conducive to everyone's cooperation and investigation, so the agents responsible for tracking Vermouth are still two foreigners. Having lived in the hotel in Bihu for so long, Toyama Tobi naturally planted a lot of his own people in the hotel. There are naturally no management, and Toyama Tobi does not need his own people to appear in the management. For frontline jobs, there are Toyama Tobi's people as waiters, Toyama Tobi's people in the concierge department, Toyama Tobi's people in the hotel security department, and even Toyama Tobi's people at the front desk. This is also the main reason why Toyama Tobi was able to determine that Vermouth was being followed in the first place. While pouring the wine, Toyama Tobi sent an email to the hotel's front desk. As expected, not long after Vermouth came in, 2 foreigners chose to stay at the hotel. Toyama Tobi does not believe in this kind of coincidence. Of course, if he kills the wrong person, then he is wrong. Toyama Tobi threw 2 FBI documents to the waiter standing at the door. Give this to Jin. I think he will be interested. Then Toyama Tobi turned to Vermouth. I don't need your explanation. This kind of pale and powerless thing is only needed in idle dramas. What I want is a solution. Since the trouble is caused by you, you naturally need to solve it. From the original work, we can know that, because of Judy's existence in the FBI, Vermouth Chris Wynyard's vest was stripped. Judy and Akeshuchi and other FBI chased her from the United States to Japan, which can be regarded as returning to the battlefield, where they originally lost. Even if these 2 FBI have not figured out who Vermouth came to this hotel to meet, the relevant information must have been sent back to the temporary command center. With the existence of Akeshuchi, Toyama Tobi will not have a chance. After all, he is the silver bullet together with Conan, the son trained by Mi-6 agents, and the ace agent of the FBI. Intelligence analysis does not require the intervention of pig teammates, so Akeshuchi must not be underestimated. Solve? How do you want me to solve it? Vermouth was slightly stunned when she heard that, and then she thought of Toyama Tobi, who had just had someone hand over the FBI documents to Jin. Are you crazy? Are you going to kill these FBI? TSK, Vermouth, you are a woman who has seen the world after all. Why are you so surprised? Haven't you heard of if the enemy goes, I can go too? Since the big shots of the FBI have all come to Japan, it is natural to let them feel the enthusiasm from the rice flour. You are really a lunatic. Really few people say that. They usually call me a good example of police-civilian cooperation and a trustworthy good guy. Toyama Tobi grinned. He has a very good reputation in the Metropolitan Police Department and the Mori Detective Agency. All the detectives in the first investigation section are willing to make friends with him. Of course, the female traffic police in the traffic section are not just about making friends. Vermouth saw that the matter was already done. When Toyama Tobi and Gin decided to join forces, she couldn't say anything, even if she had any objections. So what do I need to pay? Don't worry, I'm a fair person and I won't ask for much. I remember there was a card named Calvidus in the organization, who has been chasing you like a pet dog chasing its owner. I think you should be tired of being chased for so long, and it just so happens that my plan requires such a substantial bait. I just don't know if you are willing to give it up, Vermouth. You are really worthy of you, Spiritus. I have always felt that Calvidus is very useful, but since you need it, it is not impossible. The female Sea Queen Vermouth sold Calvidus without hesitation. With her charm, she can have as many characters like Calvidus as she wants in the organization. The reason why Calvidus has been chasing her for so long is not because he is useful, now for greater benefits, or for her own interests. Vermouth chose to abandon Calvidus without hesitation. The word bait doesn't sound very safe. A wise decision, ma'am. Yuan Shenfei smiled slightly, and then Yuan Shenfei's cell phone rang. Jin is waiting for us in the underground parking lot. It's time to go. It should be said that Jin really has a unique FBI plot. I don't know whether he just happened to be not far from where Toyama Tobi lives, or he rushed here at full speed. Anyway, in just a short while, Jin has arrived at the underground parking lot of the hotel. Toyama Tobi and Vermouth came to the underground parking lot together. When Jin saw Vermouth's disguised appearance, he didn't say a word, and he didn't even speak during the whole journey. Obviously he was affected by the last time his car was monitored by the CIA. Every failure makes you wiser. There is no need to say something so quickly. Vermouth tore off the mask on his face in the backseat of the car to complete the change of clothes. Jin looked through the rearview mirror. Although he was curious about why Toyama Tobi appeared with Vermouth, he still didn't ask. Compared to the FBI, Jin is willing to put aside all other curious behaviors. Vodka drove to a secret base of the organization, and Jin took out 2 FBI certificates in the quiet room. What's going on? Yuan Shenfei immediately distanced himself from the matter. Then we have to ask our respected Vermouth. These FBI certificates are special products she brought back from the United States. Thanks to her, I'm afraid that I will soon be exposed to the FBI's vision. Jin looked at Vermouth inquiringly, and Vermouth nodded slightly. I'm afraid that my identity in the United States has been discovered, but they seem to want to play a long game. Akeshuchi. Jin suddenly squeezed out a name from his mouth. Ah, surely, your position is no longer secure. Chapter 349, The Bait You Can Eat, and the Bait You Can't Eat. Yes, just as I guessed. As the trump card of the FBI, Shuchiake will definitely not miss this opportunity to take revenge on the organization. Toyama Tobi said, as if nothing had happened, and it was indeed the case. When Shuchiake went undercover and lurked in the organization, he deceived Shihomi Ayano, Gin, and Rum. What does it have to do with Toyama Tobi? Jin didn't care that Toyama Tobi stayed out of it. After seeing the 2 FBI documents sent by Toyama Tobi, his mind was full of Shuchiake. It just so happens that this is also a good opportunity to completely clean up that traitor. Toyama Tobi clearly felt Jin's excitement at the moment. Sure enough, only Shuchiake could make Jin really excited. The other undercovers were Shuchiake's meal substitutes. Meal substitutes are definitely not comparable to regular meals. Who would eat meal substitutes if they can eat well? This principle is equivalent to that substitutes are always just substitutes. If the function of substitutes exceeds the original product, it will not be called a substitute. At this moment, Vermouth was listening to Toyama Tobi and Jin singing the same tune, and she had a bad feeling in her heart. Jin was in a state of high spirits now. Even Vermouth could not imagine what Jin would do, or rather, she dared not think about it. She was 100% sure that if Akeshuchi was hiding in the Prime Minister's residence, Jin would not mind leading people to launch an armed coup. As for Toyama Tobi, he was just a spectator. If Jin dared to say, let's go to the Prime Minister's residence and have a big fight, Vermouth believed that Toyama Tobi would immediately provide Jin with powerful enough arms. What on earth was Rum thinking to dare to hand over such an important business as arms trading to SYNOPSIS? Okay, let's discuss the next plan. Toyama Tobi comforted Jin, who was in excitement. At this moment, Jin was completely in an excited state that he only needed a place and time to kill everyone. Just expecting Jin to come up with a reliable plan is obviously impossible today. As for Vermouth, the famous bully on the black side, Toyama Tobi doesn't dare to give her the task of making a plan. Apart from anything else, looking at Jin's current performance, Vermouth might even sell Jin directly to her own son. Action after action has made Toyama Tobi establish a brain-eater personality in the organization. His plans have always been safe, but sometimes the scenes are inevitably a little bigger. On weekdays, Jin would probably give up letting him make a plan because Toyama is too extreme. But now, the enemy is the FBI. Isn't it a good thing to have a bigger scene? Exclamation mark. Vodka, Big Brother is right. Ignoring Vermouth, who was hesitant to speak, Toyama Tobi said, very good. It seems that everyone has no objection to letting me make a plan. Then I will briefly talk about it. Toyama Tobi lit a cigarette slowly, and it didn't look like he was going to talk about it briefly. At this moment, he was more like a homeroom teacher who heard the bell for the end of get out of class. Hey, let's stay for a little while, and I'll leave you time to greet each other before class. The current situation is that the FBI has already set their sights on Vermouth and has taken stalking action. In this way, Vermouth has become a good bait to lure the FBI into the trap. At the same time, due to Vermouth's mess, I was forced to appear in the sight of the FBI. Although they may not be able to find me immediately, I estimate that it is only a matter of time. Jin agreed with Toyama Tobi's analysis. Akeshuchi was able to escape from him, so he was naturally not an easy person to deal with. However, it was just an analysis and judgment based on the existing conditions, and it can be deduced that Vermouth came to the hotel most likely to find Toyama Tobi. It's just that, although they will infer that Vermouth is looking for me, they will definitely not know the relationship between us, nor will they know my identity in the organization. In this way, I can induce them by pretending to be a rice flour intelligence dealer. If we want to catch all those FBI in one fell swoop, we still need a bait that they can eat. Vermouth is a senior member of the organization. Her bait can only be seen by the FBI, but not eaten by the FBI. No matter from which aspect, it is not cost effective to exchange Vermouth for an FBI investigation team. Toyama Tobi, Jin, and Vermouth are all senior members of the organization. In this regard, they have an unspoken understanding. We need to thank Vermouth. It was Vermouth who generously provided us with a candidate that allowed my plan to proceed smoothly. Calvados, I believe everyone is familiar with it. If you want to catch all the FBI in one fell swoop, some sacrifices are necessary. So what do you think, Jin? When Toyama Tobi teased Vermouth, Jin even nodded to Vermouth. When Jin heard Toyama Tobi asking for his opinion, his expression did not change. Okay, Calvados is indeed a good candidate. If Toyama Tobi mentions someone under his command, then Jin would need to consider it. Vodka is obviously impossible, even Conan or Chianti are not suitable. The organization's mascot, Keel, is a good candidate, but because of Keel's previous cooperation with Toyama Tobi, he is now classified as Rum's subordinate. Jin's hand cannot reach Rum's faction for the time being. Since Vermouth is willing to sell Calvados, Jin naturally has no objection. Vermouth is a great person who sacrifices himself for others. Vodka did not interrupt the whole time, but just followed his brother's meaning and looked at Vermouth with admiration on his face. Just this one look almost broke Vermouth's defense. What is it like to be admired sincerely by a fool? Vermouth now feels it. To be honest, this feeling of being admired really doesn't give me any sense of accomplishment, and there's even a little bit of shame. Then when Calvados falls into the hands of the FBI, I think they will definitely intensify their actions. This will play right into our hands, and we will have the opportunity to wipe out the FBI. Do you have any suggestions for my plan? It was a suggestion, rather than an opinion, and Toyama Tobi's attitude was very clear. If he was to participate in the operation, He would take the lead in this operation. Vermouth hesitated to speak. She had no suggestions but only opinions, but she couldn't say it out loud because she didn't have the confidence. Gin had no opinions or suggestions. As long as he could have the opportunity to kill Akeshuchi, he could go back and clean his gun now. Okay, the plan is tentatively set like this. Vermouth would like to ask you to reveal some intelligence to Calvados so that he won't be caught and won't know anything. That would be too embarrassing for us carders. Chapter 350. 5 tragic drawings on Calvados thighs. There are many weirdos in the organization, or everyone in the organization is a weirdo. But in an organization full of weirdos, some people stand out in this aspect. For example, Shirley, a carder. Can't say that she had a great start, but she also had all the advantages. As a result, she played herself into a situation where she was not as free as ordinary members. Even if she was reluctant, she still developed the A drug, and it was still used by Gin and the organization. So her resistance was ineffective. She didn't delay anything, but made her life worse day by day. Compared with Shirley, Calvados is another weirdo. Except for Vermouth, the senior executives in the organization have specific work divisions and territories. As the second in command of the general organization, Rum's location of action is not limited to Japan. When there is a need for foreign branches, he will also go to foreign branches. Jin's base is in Japan, but he is the top thug of the general organization's actions, which means that if there is a need for a mission to go abroad, Jin can use the local action team. Only Vermouth is a serious runner. But Vermouth is the woman that Karasuma and I loves the most. This title alone is enough to reflect Vermouth's status in the organization. This is a special senior executive. But because Vermouth does not have her own base, her status can only be transcended to herself. Then there is the strange Calvados. The normal development path of an organization member should be like Toyama Tobi, first actively or passively joining the organization, and then undergoing rigorous training. After going through tasks that gradually increase in difficulty, you can improve your level little by little. When a normal organization member reaches the level of an ordinary member, that is, a formal member, he will have his own direct carders, or join a certain base, and perform a long-term task. When the tasks accumulate to a certain level, or when your loyalty is reflected to a certain level, the promotion assessment of carders will be opened. Unlike the promotion assessment that basically everyone in government agencies will pass, the organization's elite plan requires all carders to be elites in some aspects. Just like Chianti, although his mental state is worrying, he is at least a sniper. Looking at all the gangs in Japan, how many can come up with serious snipers? Calvados is a contemporary of Conan and Chianti. Unlike Conan and Chianti, Calvados's organizational development route is simply outrageous. Normally, Calvados, who plays with guns, should be classified as Jin's action group. But who made Calvados ruin his life after seeing Vermouth? Since he met Vermouth once, he was shocked. The dog-licking instinct awakened instantly. After he got his own code name and became a carder of the organization, he began to chase after Vermouth. If Vermouth intended to expand his influence and clarify his base, Calvados might be the pillar, backbone, and second in command of Vermouth's faction. But Vermouth didn't have this idea. He still chose to run alone. Now Calvados's position has become awkward. He has no direct superiors and no strict command. He chases after Vermouth all day long, and he can't be considered a Vermouth person. Calvados is now like an insignificant person who is free from all factions. This means that, unless the boss directly assigns Calvados a task, Calvados basically has no credit for doing other tasks. There is no way to get promoted. Calvados can only choose one path to the end. Because even if he joins other factions now, no one will want him. Who can want him? What if he just took this thing in and was ready to let him perform a long-term task, but Vermouth called him away with a phone call? Not only was he called away, but he also had to work hard to help Vermouth complete the task, and he still used the resources of the faction. What's the point? So over time, Calvados became another strange flower in the organization. As such a strange flower, he doesn't have some irreplaceable role like Shirley. It is quite reasonable that Calvados was sold mercilessly. After all, there is not much difference between having Calvados and not having Calvados in the organization. Temporary command office of the FBI investigation team. James Blake is anxiously waiting for the latest report from his subordinates. The two agents who had just gone to Bihu City Hotel to investigate suddenly lost contact, which made him very nervous. After waiting for 10 minutes, his agents still did not try to contact the command again, which gave James Blake a bad feeling. He immediately asked his men to go to Bihu City Hotel to check on his agents, and also called back two of his generals, Shuchiake and Judy Stelling. Judy comforted James, maybe they just had something to do and couldn't get away, so they couldn't contact the command. Shuchiake was much calmer, not necessarily, I'm afraid they are in danger. Just as Shuchiake was speaking, an agent hurried back, Mr. Blake, our two agents have died. The Tokyo police have blocked the scene and are investigating their identities. Fuck. James cursed directly. They have been eyeing Vermouth for so long, chasing all the way from the United States to Japan. The United States lost two agents not long after arriving in Japan. Is Japan such a weird place? Who is the murderer? Vermouth. James immediately asked his men. The specific murderer is still unclear. The hotel's surveillance equipment is broken, so it is impossible to check the surveillance directly. But according to the staff, he happened to see a woman whose appearance could not be seen clearly on this floor. Woman. But Vermouth went to the Bihu City Hotel as a new doctor? Judy asked subconsciously without reacting for a while. Since she can disguise herself, she can naturally take off the disguise. None of this is important. What is important is who Vermouth went to the Bihu City Hotel to meet. Akeshuchi's eyes flashed, and he expressed his judgment. It is obviously unrealistic to say that Akeshuchi and the FBI agents have any deep feelings. Akeshuchi joined the FBI to investigate the mystery of his father's disappearance. When he was undercover, he was pitted by the FBI's pig teammates and fled Japan in a hurry. To be honest, she did not choose to work alone now, but continued to contact the organization with the help of the FBI. It is considered sober in the world. The power of one person is definitely not comparable to that of a group. Even Akeshuchi needs some qualified helpers. Send me a list of the hotel guests. I want to take a look. Akeshuchi told the agent without waiting for James to speak. Yes, I'll go find it right away. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.